we are live. So, welcome to episode 115 of An American Werewolf in New Jersey. I am the American Werewolf. In the house tonight, we've got, for the first time on the show, we've got Patrick from the Midnight Society. That doesn't sound too cultish. He's actually an okay guy. So, thank you for joining us
That's
tonight.
a cool name. I like that.
We appreciate you stopping by to hang out with us tonight.
Glad to be here, sir. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. We've got the Ryan Daly. Other Ryan Daly's are out there, but this is the one with the in front of his name. So that's how you separate him from the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. Back from a tour of the Far East, we've got John K. Alvarez, the Dude Brother.
The Dude Brother.
Okay, well, you should have capitalized it or something.
I know, as opposed to the other Dude Brother.
All right.
So it begins.
Now, and in addition to that, lastly but certainly not least, we've got Eric from Hey Internet Eric here.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. So, this is our top 5 guilty pleasures movies. What is a guilty pleasure movie? As I define it, and I've defined it for this list, it's nothing particularly complicated. It's a movie that you understand is shitty because it's your selection. I'm not picking your movies. Or otherwise, I'd have a list, from here to like fucking, Timbuktu. But it's a movie that you concede is a shitty movie, but you like it anyway, as is your right.
Oh, boy.
I honestly wouldn't really concede any of my movies are shitty. I just like them.
That's all right. I'll do it for you. Don't worry about it. Same way I've been doing it for fucking years. All right. Yeah. That's why I'm hosting. Yeah. This particular thing. Now we were just talking before we got on about an old argument that I saw that says basically if you like a movie, it's a good movie. And you can see what my particular response to that was. I should have wrote not even no, but fuck no in there, but I didn't. Because to me, what makes a good movie is a great story or a good story, good performances. You don't have plot holes you could drive a Mack truck through, those sorts of things. Special effects are always limited by their particular era. So on and so forth. If it's missing those sorts of things, or if it has one, but maybe not 2 or 3 of the others, but you still like it, then I would constitute that a guilty pleasure. And I made a video about that a couple of weeks ago and put myself on the chopping block first by talking about Van Helsing. I love Van Helsing.
So do I.
Me too.
I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah, you've got the lovely Kate Beckinsale. She's in a nice corset, bouncing around all over the place.
That always helps.
Tight bottoms and corsets up top. So what's not to like about that? You've got Hugh Jackman. Who doesn't love Hugh Jackman? He's always cool.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Dracula. You've got Frankenstein. You've got a werewolf in there. I think you even get Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the very beginning.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fun movie.
It's
a terrible movie. It's a terrible fucking movie. I mean, you can drive a fucking earth mover right through some of these fucking plot holes. The dialogue sounds like a fucking 19-year-old wrote it.
And surprisingly,
it's got so many cliches.
It's directed by the guy who did The Mummy.
Mm-hmm.
And The Mummy Returns.
It definitely has that feeling. But I mean, there's that line where are you good or are you bad? And it's a little bit of both. And you're just like, oh God. It checks like every cliche mark that you can fucking have in there. But I still enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Yep, that's the key word.
Yeah, I thought let's put together our own particular lists, see what we come up with, and then move on from there.
Yeah.
So if you're ready to go, shall we get it started?
Go.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Boogie woogie. So I thought we would get it started in the traditional way that we always do. We get our banners rolling. We would go in this order. Let's start off with, in this case, Patrick. Then go with Ryan, Eric, John, and then myself. Talk about the movie. I brought up an overlay, so nobody needs to hold up a DVD or anything like that, or a film. I've got the movie poster overlays or something related to that. We talk about it for a few minutes. If anybody else has any comments about it or wants to jump in, feel free, and then we move on to the next person. Sound good?
Sounds perfect.
Let's do
All
it.
right. Number 5. Patrick, what do you got for us?
I picked We, and I got to put this out there because I don't want people to get wrong, but I fucked up because I went with great movies for this instead of bad movies.
Why
So all these movies here are going against my. I'm sorry.
You're like a saboteur, man. Why would you feel guilty about watching a good movie?
I went and grabbed 5 substitutes that we could do real quick.
No. Go ahead. It's a perfect. All's well. Keep going.
So yeah, We is a 2018 Dutch-Belgian film from Art Exploitation, and this movie is magnificent. This is actually my best reviewed movie of the year in 2018. This was my number 1. It's a great film, incredible story. It's really multi-layered. It's about a crime that's committed. This bunch of kids, and they go from everybody, each kid. They tell the story of what they saw. With every rotation, the story gets worse and worse and worse, and it's a haunting film too. I haven't seen anything like that in a very long time. And again, this comes from Art Exploitation, and they make a lot of great films. I really do enjoy getting their films when I can find them, and highly recommend this. This is something that a lot of people have never heard of at all. And I don't know. I just really did love it, and I think it's a great movie, and it's definitely my number 5.
All right. Number 5. I don't know anything about this one, so
I haven't heard of it, but
I have
I'll write it down.
feedback for it. John, have you heard of it?
I got to admit, when he said We, I thought it was a spoof of Us.
Jesus.
It really did. And when we went, oh, and I'm like, and then when he was talking about it, like, no, actually, I read about this, but I have not seen it. Thank you, actually, for the review. Because now I know more about it, I want to try to track it down.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's not like because I love Van Helsing too, but this is actually a very serious movie. It's a serious one. This is really good for that. Yeah, it's just it's different, that's for sure.
All right,
Different can be good.
Yeah. We'll have to check it out sometime. All right, Ryan, what do you got for us?
Okay. Well, you can't really have, some people may consider this guilty pleasure in horror, but when you're talking about guilty pleasure or cult film, you can't do it without mentioning the great William Castle. For those of you out there listening who don't know, William Castle was kind of like the P.T. Barnum of horror movies. He relied very heavily on gimmicks. His movies weren't the best. They were kind of B grade, but he was actually respected in the film community. I picked for my number 5, the original House on Haunted Hill.
Ooh, good choice.
All right. Forget that remake. Okay. This one was a little less on the gimmicks than some of his other stuff. I think his most famous theater gimmick was probably the Tingler. But this one had it's basically, the premise is Vincent Price, my favorite horror actor. He's the Laurence Olivier of horror movies. He basically invites everybody to stay at this haunted house party. Whoever stays in the house for one night earns $10,000. But he's actually doing it to kind of unravel a plot between his wife and one of the party guests who he assumes is cheating on him. As he says in the voiceover, "Isn't she amusing?" And basically in the floor of the basement, there's this huge vat of acid, and he manipulates things so that his wife's lover gets down there and he fights him and he throws him in the acid. Then they make it seem like Vincent Price's character is dead. So when the wife comes down there, who they thought was dead originally, she hanged herself. They made it look like she killed herself. Then you see this skeleton come out of the acid. And that was the gimmick. When the movie came out, William Castle had, in certain theaters, he had the skeleton fly over the crowd. But people started like throwing popcorn at it, popcorn boxes and hitting it and stuff like that. But the skeleton is supposed to be Vincent Price, and it talks in his voice and everything. And it basically attacks her, and she falls into the stuff and dies, the acid. And then Vincent Price comes out of the shadows with this huge contraption. It's basically a puppet. The skeleton is a marionette kind of thing, and he gets his revenge on his wife. Again, one of the lesser. What's that?
Said somebody should feel guilty about this.
One of the lesser William Castle films, but it is a lot of fun. He was legendary for that kind of stuff. In one of his early movies, he actually had lawyers stationed at the beginning of the house, and so that if anybody was scared and couldn't make it through the movie, they could take out $1,000 life insurance policy if they were too scared. He did another movie where he had yellow footprints going up the aisle. So if you were too scared and you punked out, you had to go up there and you had to go in a special section of the theater that had yellow tape around it. It was the coward's box. He was a great gimmick guy. And this movie, he actually wasn't a bad director. He was very respected in the film community. He just never got to that, level that he wanted to. But this is a fun movie. I like this one. Again, not as crazy as 13 Ghosts or The Tingler. But this one's of his, probably my favorite.
Yeah, I like William Castle a lot. He's a lot of fun with with his gimmicks. If you've ever seen that Joe Dante movie Matinee with John Goodman is basically William Castle. And House on Haunted Hill it's a lot of fun because of the cheese factor. And if you know who William was, it helps it. Like, I think it was a Tingler. There's certain parts where he would have the people in the crowd, and certain seats had like electric buzzers on it, and whenever certain parts of like the Tingler would come out and attack people, he would push buttons and certain people would get shocked and stuff like that. He didn't make the best movies, but he made fun movie experiences.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's more like Rocky Horror before Rocky Horror.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Interactive theater.
Yeah.
All right. I never saw that, I don't think. No,
Really?
I probably haven't. Maybe I'll get around to it one of these days.
It's fun just to see how hammy Price is in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, a lot of his performances are hammy.
He was
he didn't do a lot of
hammy. Yeah,
he didn't do a lot of serious stuff. It's really over the top. He got away with a lot because he was British, and that was kind of his niche. And you can pull off a little bit.
He
more
wasn't British.
He wasn't.
He was American.
He was not British. No.
Oh,
he was American.
For some reason, he always sounded British to me.
That's the point.
It's just the way he's
doing it, because he said good actors talk with British accent.
Yeah. So it sort of added something that I think another actor wouldn't have been able to, pull off to that extent. But he certainly is, a Hall of Famer as it pertains to horror. All right, Eric, what is your numero cinco?
All right. Okay. This one, like I said, this one is a lot of fun for me, and that is what the key word is for me. I don't really care for guilty pleasures. I look for the fun factor type of thing. Yeah. And like you said, Mike, a good movie usually has great acting, great story. This movie doesn't really have any of that. In the 90s, it kind of had the king of bad acting, action cliches, all that fun stuff. I picked the Sylvester Stallone classic Cobra.
Oh shit!
Oh boy! Oh, look at those shades, man! Look at those shades.
Man.
It says it right there on the poster. He says the movie starts out when there is a supermarket that's being taken hostage, and he's just having this back-to-back negotiation with the criminal. He's walking by, he's taking warm beer off the shelf, drinking it, putting it back as he's getting ready to try to rescue the people. And he says, "You're a disease, I'm the cure." There's step one: bad, cheesy action dialogue, and I eat it up. And what I love about Stallone is he's trying to be Rambo outside of the jungle and with not even like the 10th of charisma of Rambo, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And I love it. And just the little things he does when he comes home from a hard day and he goes to his desk and he's going to do some research and he's got one slice of pizza that's probably been sitting out for 2 fucking days. He doesn't want to eat the whole thing. He picks up and he like cuts it with scissors and he eats like the little piece and little stuff like that. I love how he's got to rescue and keep safe Brigitte Nielsen. And in like one of the worst wigs you've ever seen, because she's known for the short blonde. She's got like a really bad red wig, and I don't know if they were involved at the time because they were married for a while, but it shows that they got divorced because they have zero fucking chemistry in this movie. And I just think that adds to the air quotes bad factor in it. But what makes up for it is just mindless action and violence, so over the top. Just some of the shit his car can do when he's mowing down these guys. That like the last 20 minutes is insane. I love how awful and not really intimidating the leader of, I think they're called the Axe Gang is. That are trying to kill Brigitte. It's just fun all around. And right when that opening scene is, like I said, when he's in the supermarket. You know what you're getting into, and it doesn't stop. And I
saw this in the theater. I know exactly.
You're admitting that?
It's a guilty pleasures thing. Yeah.
Wow.
This was right after, I think, the second Rambo movie.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, what was happening was people weren't sure what to expect from the next project. And I think this was mid to late 80s. So this was still I was still like in high school, and so Stallone's got the next movie out, and by then Stallone had like a 10-year run from the start of the first Rocky movie, and then the second Rocky movie, and then I think the third Rocky movie, and then First Blood, and then the second one. So he was he was second only to Arnold at that point. But then there was a severe. This was, the first real independent character that he had done outside of those 2 main, sort of pillars of his, portfolio. Yes. And it went right off a fucking cliff. And I
don't even remember this movie.
Well, I'm not getting my $5 back. But when you're 15, it doesn't matter. You're 15 and you're just like,
there used to be a TV show called From the Aisles or From the Aisle Seats, and it was Siskel and Ebert.
At the movies,
at the movies. Gene Siskel, when this movie came out and reviewed it, said the more Sylvester Stallone films, the less he actually talks. He whispers. The tougher he's supposed to be, he whispers his voice. And he goes, "Well, Cobra came out, and his voice was such a whisper. I wanted to say, will you just shut up?" And that was his review. And I was like, wow. And that made me go out into the movie theater to watch it.
Yeah.
And Paul and I went, my brother Paul and I went to see it, and Paul still doesn't forgive me to this day that I drunk here to this movie to see it.
And you bring up the way he talks, like, you know, he's kind of got like the mumbly voice, and he's kind of low, and it's also kind of hard to understand him because lots of times he's talking, he's got like a fucking matchstick in his mouth or a toothpick just because it helps him look cooler and tougher. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's got the 5 o'clock shadow the whole time.
Exactly.
Taking a bite out of crime rather than a toothpick stuck in your mouth.
Yeah, I would rather see a live action McGruff the Crime Dog movie in retrospect. This is what we fucking ended up.
Wow, I don't even. Gosh, I can't even remember what went on in this movie. Wasn't Rennie
You're not
Santoni
missing
in this?
anything.
I avoided this one. I never saw it.
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of fun.
If you were to watch it today, you'd be like, "Holy shit, this is almost unwatchable." Like Eric, when's the last time you've seen it? Have you watched it recently?
Probably a couple months ago. Yeah, it's really. I'm not lying. Yeah.
Okay.
My whole list is like regular rotation. So.
All right.
After seeing this movie, I miss Tango and Cash. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Ooh,
That's a great one.
That's more fun.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. Like, it was hit or miss with him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
If you were getting a Rocky movie, you knew what you were going to get. I mean, I think he's made 6 Rambo movies now. Probably about half of them are pretty decent. The other half, not so much.
I'll tell you what. My favorite Stallone movie, believe it or not, is Copland.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Copland is fantastic.
Yeah, that's a fantastic
Fabulous movie.
Yeah. Well,
Now I haven't seen Nighthawks. Is that better than this one, Cobra?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a serious movie.
1,000%.
Yeah. People forget about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer and Billy D.
Rutger
Williams.
Hauer's the bad guy. Yeah, Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer.
You got Billy D. Williams being the cool side of the pillow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone being the badass.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ, what's her name? Who was the bionic woman? She was the girlfriend.
Lindsay Wagner. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. We got a few comments here. We got the Horror Freak saying, "Hey, what's up? Thanks for stopping by."
Hey, Steven.
We got Ben from Cadaver Club.
Hey, Ben.
Patrick's favorite guilty pleasure movie is Hereditary. There's no reason whatsoever to feel guilty about that. It's fucking fantastic. We got Kal-El Daly saying, "Yo," and the sequel is "They" to "We." Yeah, so I guess we're getting into. Yeah, it's a pronouns movie, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
Jeez.
And Patrick is saying hi to everybody. Okay, so let's see. That brings us to John.
Yes, sir.
What you got for us? Our first word from you in quite a while.
Yeah,
Cobra 2.
As much as I loved putting on this outfit, there is actually a reason for it because a lot of my choices were from the 80s. So I figured I would do the best 80s sidekick movie or character, for these films because, Mike, this was a tough list, man. I had to go through it about 4 or 5 times before I realized you were saying, "Oh no, bad movies that you like."
Yeah.
I'll be honest. This is the only time I've actually had difficulty.
Yeah,
because I couldn't pick some.
Yeah.
I could when I talk about my first movie. When you finish, John, I'll tell you what I was going to pick, and then I'll tell you just real quick for like 30 seconds because I don't want to talk about 2 movies. But it was I flipped a couple and then like the ones in the middle I had, but then I think like 5 and 3 I was just like, well, fuck, and then 5 I was really stuck on, and I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it's your time. Go ahead.
This one, when I really locked down what I had to do, I went, all right, this has to be number 5. Only because, right up there with movies like I Come in Peace, and things like that.
Yes.
It's about space, but the coolest guy on the block.
Okay.
I'm talking number 5, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
All right. Peter Weller.
Yeah.
Wow.
Peter Weller.
All right.
John Lithgow, Ellen Barkin, Jeff Goldblum,
Yep.
Clancy Brown in a tender moment in the movie when he dies, spoiler alert, Christopher Lloyd, and a shitload of other movies. And
Mm-hmm.
when you had Shakespearean dialogue, like Peter Weller, who is not only a rocket scientist, not only a test pilot, not only a billionaire, leads a rock band of scientists in a bus around the country, all wearing suspenders for some reason.
I've always wanted to wear suspenders.
One of his lines was, "Evil, pure and simple from the 12th dimension." And you flash to the villains that look like ants with big eyes and these bumpy skin. I saw this movie in a movie theater on Thanksgiving with my brother Paul, who actually wanted to see it. And Paul said when he said that, I heard him under his breath goes, "Oh, fuck you, man." Because he knew right then and there we were on this ride. This was the one line. Ellen Barkin's being picked on by a crowd of people singing. Peter Weller and the band are singing. He sees Ellen Barkin sitting alone in the corner, and he's saying, "Darling, are you all right? Is the world against you?" And the crowd starts booing. And this is the line. I got it off the internet to make sure I got it. Hey, 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 hey. Now don't be mean. We don't have to be mean because remember, no matter where you go, there you are. And the crowd went, "Oh, okay." And forgave.
Oh, no.
Loved this movie. It was so crappy, I couldn't help but fall in love with it. The aliens actually arrived on the night when Orson Welles did War of the Worlds. And they actually did it and made everybody believe that it was actually a radio show. That's how they snuck into the world to try to take over. And Peter Weller could see them because of his experimenting with rocket ships. And they had a fight to save the world. And it was amazing because they all had nicknames and sidekicks. And they really wanted this to be a franchise. And it went nowhere.
I've never seen this movie.
So bad.
Same here.
I've never
Yeah.
seen it. You know
It's it's a big trip. It really is. Brian, I think you would like it because we were talking, Pee-wee's Big Adventure before we went on this, and Jeff Goldblum is wearing the same cowboy outfit that Pee-wee's wearing during the rodeo.
Oh, wow.
Like
You know
the
what-
exact outfit.
You know what's interesting about this movie is that the guy who directed it, W.D. Richter, also wrote Big Trouble in Little China.
Right.
It makes sense.
John
this
John
reminds me a lot
Carpenter
of
said, John Carpenter said apparently Big Trouble in Little China was originally intended to be a sequel to Buckaroo Banzai, but then they retooled everything and just made it its own. So for somehow, I guess it was going to take place in the same universe or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if like originally Jack Burton was supposed to be in it or whatever, but W.D. Richter, I think he did the story treatment. I don't know if he wrote the screenplay, but he did the story treatment for Big Trouble in Little China, and then some other people did the screenplay for it, and they changed it up.
I got so many people to watch this movie in college and then get mad at me and then laugh at it because they bought it like on a VHS.
I'll have to say
I had a friend of mine buy me a Japanese movie poster of this film. And on the cover, Buckaroo Banzai, instead of having the guns, he was holding a samurai sword. And they were making a comment, come see Anglo-American actor use a samurai sword. I mean, this was on the poster. They were trashing it when it was even in Japan. Oh, such a fun film.
It's worth it just to see how fucking crazy John Lithgow is in that movie.
Oh, God, yeah. That guy was over the top. It really was.
All right. That's another one I didn't see either. For some reason, it just got past me. For some reason, I always confuse this with Remo Williams. And rest in peace to the late Fred Ward, who just passed away a couple of weweeks ago. He's going to be fucking missed.
They're close, Mike. They're real close, actually. They're in that same genre.
Yeah, and I saw Remo Williams, and, I like that. I never got around to this. I saw somebody say real quick, just talking about Fred Ward, that, you know, in another, you know, parallel universe, he was probably a great leading man. You know, but here we were lucky enough to get decades of, you know, great character acting, you know, and strong performances that way. So, you know, we're grateful for what we got from him. I'm a big Fred Ward fan. All right, that brings me to number 5. And I said real quick I was going to talk about what my number 5 almost was. My number 5 almost was Underworld.
Okay.
But then because I'm like, they've got shootouts going in the middle of the street and the city and the subways, and like this never catches up to anybody. And you know, it's a preposterous, but I'm like, no, there are things way worse than that.
You see what it is. He's already talked Van Helsing, and now Underworld. It's the Kate Beckinsale thing. That's what it is.
I don't feel guilty about Kate Beckinsale at all. I don't feel guilty about Kate Beckinsale at all. No, that's
either corset or leather. It's, you know, to pick your poison.
Yeah. That's nice.
But remember, Underworld also had Sophia Myles in there as well, so there was that.
Wait, who did she play?
She played the friend,
the blonde vampire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was nice.
Yeah, the real pretty one. Yep.
If you get the special edition, there's a nude scene in there. That's only what I've heard, of course. But my number 5, I really did struggle with this to get the list kicked off, and then I realized, because I was going through my collection, and then I actually Googled up some lists, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, there's probably something I've done on the show that qualifies as a guilty pleasure. And the first thing that popped into my head was something that I couldn't find a replacement for, and that's what I stuck with. I'm surprised nobody else picked this. Or these performers. I went with Stephen King's Silver Bullet.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen it.
Stephen King's Silver Bullet is a movie that we have covered on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And the first question I asked when we did cover it, I said, is this a scary movie? And everyone said no. And I think Bill said, fuck no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He's like, no, this isn't scary at all. But we did decide, I think Eric said that it was fun.
Yes.
And that werewolf movies tend to get that campy horror sort of thing. But you've got a werewolf movie that isn't scary. The performances really aren't that great. You've got Gary Busey. You know, we talked about Gary Busey, and we've got Corey Haim. Everett McGill, I'm not exactly sure, makes a convincing werewolf.
Not really.
You know, the creature effects were awful. But I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I own a copy on DVD, and I said when we covered it on the show, and Rod was on there too, I said, if 6-9 months from now you were to come up to me, because we did it for Halloween, and I said, if in 6 or 9 months you come up and say, hey, let's watch some Silver Bullet, I think this was one of Rod's picks. I'd say sure, and we'd pop it in, and we'd order some pizzas and get some popcorn out, and we'd sit down and watch Silver Bullet. It's still not a fucking great movie, though. No, and yeah, I mean, I think this was one of those movies I saw in high school too. It was like 86 or something like that. And yeah, it's not good.
Here's the big question. Is it better than The Howling?
Yes.
Okay. I've never seen The Howling either, so I'm just asking.
Almost everything is better than The Howling.
Silver Bullet is like one of the most perfect, like, beer pizza friends over to watch type movie.
Yeah.
The book is great. The book is really short. It's only like 100 pages. It's really good. This is the total opposite. It's fun. I love watching it. This is one of me and my wife's like go-to sit down and have fun movies.
Okay.
Gary Busey is Gary Busey. He plays the drunken uncle, and he's hilarious. It's fun to point out like how stupid like some of this stuff is. There's like one scary moment, I think, when he attacks the girl who's going to, you know, commit suicide. But then the best part, and also the most disappointing part is, and I think Mike might agree, is the reveal of the werewolf. And I think we were calling it Smokey the Bear because it looked more like a giant teddy bear than anything. But that just adds to how awful but fun it is. Brian, I know for a fact you dig it, dude.
Because I know that Bill had a copy. It's an illustrated novella.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
almost
Oh, really?
it's almost
Okay.
a graphic novel
Yeah.
that Stephen King had written, and he had these fantastic werewolf illustrations. I mean, that was
Yep.
a scary
Yep.
beast
Mhm.
in that novella. And Bill would hold. I think I had some video overlays
Mhm.
from the
Yep.
novella in the stream, and we would put that up, and you're like, wow, that's a fucking werewolf. And then you would have the overlay of what they actually showed in the movie.
So-
And even Rod was like, what the fuck is that, man?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pissed off teddy bear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I had the novella when I was in high school,
Mhm.
and it was broken down in a 12-month storyline,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it was great. And then when you saw the movie, you're like, what? No, what?
Yeah. That's what Rod pointed out. He said
Uh-huh.
every chapter was a different month.
Mhm.
So every month something happened because this only happened in the full moon, because it was only once a month that this would happen, and so it built up to the final, climax in the Battle of Christmas. But you got no sense of that in the movie. There was nothing to mark the time, or that a whole year had taken place, had gone to pass in this movie. So
Is
Yeah,
this
not
is this
great.
considered one of Stephen King's better movies, like overall?
No.
no,
I don't think so.
no.
This is like
It's very hard to find a really good Stephen King early on. Any movie that had his name over the title, you can always pretty much count it as being shit. It's when
Like
If
they
you
don't
say
put
Stephen King's whatever, then you
Oh,
know
I
it's going to
see.
be bad.
this would make a good like double feature with like Maximum Overdrive or like
Oh,
Children of the
gosh,
Corn or
yeah.
something like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I would double
feature
feature this. I would double feature this with Teen Wolf.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Those werewolves look better.
You know
Yeah.
something? I mean, because we talked about this, and especially Eric, when Rod was on that Stephen King role, we started out with Carrie. I mean, he
Mhm.
started out with the cream of the crop. He's got
Yep.
Brian
Yeah.
De Palma. He's got Sissy Spacek. All these fantastic actors. Then he goes to Kubrick with The Shining, and then he goes to John and I did Cronenberg with The Dead Zone.
Yeah.
And then it just started to I don't know if he got into that was the cocaine phase of his life, and it just started to get. I mean, you did have a couple. Christine was
I like Christine. Christine's
Well,
fun.
I think Stephen King admitted he wrote Cujo. He doesn't even remember
He
writing
doesn't
Cujo
remember.
because he was
Yeah.
so doped up on coke. He was
Mhm.
I mean, he was out of his mind with coke, and he don't even remember writing it. So
Hold on a second. Ben is saying Buckaroo Banzai is super fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Best two-stroke wheelchair ever. Yes, we forgot about the flying wheelchair in Silver Bullet. The Howling is way better. No, it's not. I like The Howling quite a bit too. That's 2 strikes, Patrick.
Uh-oh.
No,
Uh-oh.
strike 2. Creepshow is amazing. Okay, yeah, Romero. Yeah.
Creepshow is a lot of fun.
Creepshow, gosh,
1982
There you
Stephen
go.
King. Yeah. So it was hit or miss in the 80s. And then somewhere around early 90s, he started to really break. He started to get with big directors,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then, you started to get things like Shawshank. And then from
Misery.
He kind of hasn't.
yeah.
Rob Reiner
Mhm.
working with him. And he kind of hasn't looked back since.
Yeah.
But that's my number
A lot
5.
of good. He was also doing a lot of good adaptations onto television.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did Tobe Hooper and
Yeah.
Salem's Lot.
A lot of them are being adapted. At ABC was doing them like once a year. They did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they did Tommy Knockers,
Mm-hmm.
and they did even The Shining with Gary Sinise.
Oh yeah, he
Which
Gary
he-
Sinise in the Stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, The Stand was good. I have that on DVD. Yeah.
I
That
think,
was all made for television, so you could expand
yeah.
time to expand his stories.
And
You know,
Stephen King.
Yeah.
Stephen
Right.
King prefers, from what I understand, he preferred the miniseries of The Shining to the movie. He didn't like the Kubrick movie.
Yeah, he didn't like
No,
the movie either.
Yeah.
I think he still holds a grudge against Kubrick against that.
Wow.
But
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
one of his most underrated film or television adaptations, because I think it went to a streaming channel, was Mr. Mercedes.
There you go.
With
I haven't seen
Brendan
that yet.
Gleeson. Brendan, that's fantastic.
Oh, I love Brendan Gleeson.
Brendan, that's a fantastic crime. It's just a crime story.
Oh, okay.
It's at one point it gets one. It's a trilogy. One is a little paranormal, but 2 out of 3 of those are just straight up horror crime adaptations. Good stuff. All right, that brings us to number 4. Number 4, and that brings us to Patrick. Patrick, what do you got for us?
I have Luciferina.
All righty.
This also is from Art Exploitation Pictures. This is a movie that was made in Argentina. So this is the first film I reviewed from Argentina, and it's a banger. Definitely really good. It tells of a young nun, a young novice, and her friends are going down through the rivers they're looking for a plant, like a mythical plant, and they come to some ruins, and they're drawn to these ruins to look for this plant. And while they're in there, different things happen, supernatural things happen, and it comes down to where the nun meets the devil. And this was actually planned as a trilogy initially. I don't know if that ever happened, but the first one, it shows the nun meeting the devil and then having a child. And the child you're not sure if the child is going to be good or if it's going to be bad. And that's how the movie's left. But the filming of the movie itself, the scenery, the locations, that's half the star of the movie. It's beautifully filmed and wonderfully acted. And I so feel bad. I feel like I'm totally in a different show here talking about this.
The reason it won 7 Academy Awards was because,
Yeah, right. But this also is a really good movie, and it's like I said, it was my first exposure to anything Argentinian wise. And they have some talent down there. There's some really good artists down there. And this movie is definitely one of them. I thoroughly enjoyed it and thought very highly of it. And I would definitely recommend you guys go look it up. And it's from the same company that We's from. I brought mostly Art Exploitation because they make fantastic movies that no one knows about.
What year did it come out?
This came out. I want to say it came out in. Let's see. I can tell you. This came out in. They always have their dates on here. This came out in 2017, and this also made my best of the year list on that 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was just thinking that I think I've seen that title in the streaming somewhere or other. It popped up.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. You all would like this very much.
Give it a shot.
I'll take a look. All right. Well, it's a matter of record now. Fair enough. All right, Ryan, what do you got for us? Number 4.
Okay, this one's a hell of a lot of fun. It was panned by the critics, but who cares? And I think it came out at the same time as another movie that was a blockbuster and had pretty much the same premise. I prefer this one, Tim Burton's very underrated classic, Mars Attacks.
Right.
All right.
This movie is a riot. It's the only movie based on a collection of Topps collector cards from the 50s. Yep. And it's a parody of all those 50s War of the Worlds, alien, kind of disaster movies. The cast is a riot. Everybody dies, I think, except for like Natalie Portman and Lucas Haas, but everybody else bites it in some hilarious way. It's just so much fun to see like Jack Nicholson playing 2 parts. He plays the president and then this Las Vegas, hustler.
Yeah.
You got Michael J. Fox. Paul Winfield is like a Colin Powell kind of parody. And he has a great line in that right before he's killed. He talks to his wife and he's like, He says something like, "Oh, I finally learned that standing around and not saying anything gets me like a big promotion," or something like that. And he's the one who's sent out to greet the aliens and the Martians, and he gets blasted first.
Mhm.
It's got an early appearance from Jack Black.
Yep.
It's got
Tom Jones is a main character.
Tom Jones, Pam
and he plays
Grier,
himself. Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan.
Jim Brown, Pierce Brosnan, Sarah
Glenn
Jessica
Close in it?
Parker.
Yep.
What's that?
Glenn Close plays the first lady.
Yeah, Glenn Close, Danny DeVito.
Mhm.
It's got people you wouldn't even expect to see, and
Mhm.
everybody gets killed and in hilarious ways. But I mean, and that's the thing. It's total fun that you could just turn your brain off and enjoy it. But see, it came out the same year as Independence Day, and everybody went to see that instead of this, and that was probably a studio thing. I think this was great for Tim Burton. It was just a one-off, just have fun, be silly. I mean, Martin Short plays like this total sleaze, and it's a great departure for him. It's a blast. It's so much fun, and it's one of those movies I started adding to my Halloween rotation. When October comes around, I have like a list of horror movies that I watch and horror comedies and stuff. And this one's just great. And the fact that the aliens get killed by listening to Slim Whitman is perfect. It makes their heads explode. And I think there's an underlying thing there that anybody's head would explode listening to Slim Whitman. It's fantastic. And it was panned. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely. Like Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Yeah, it's a total homage to the 50s. It's just a lot of fun, and it's just crazy.
One of my favorite scenes is when they're literally like flying saucers from the 50s.
Yeah.
It lands, and two, I guess you would say, soldiers come out, and then you have like, I guess, the president or the king or whatever. You can tell he's the only one wearing like a red robe.
Yeah, the red.
They're on like the red carpet. They're being welcomed, and someone figured out how to translate supposedly what they say, because all they say is like "ack." That's like everything they say. So the president of, I guess you'd say, of the Martians says this long speech, and it's air quotes translated to "We come in peace."
Yeah, yeah.
And they keep playing "We come in peace," and everyone's cheering. We literally have a hippie release some doves. After say they come in peace, and he pulls out his phaser gun, shoots the dove, spins it around like RoboCop, puts it back in his holster, and then all hell breaks loose.
That's when they just start shooting everybody.
It's a lot of fucking fun.
Yeah, and I like how the skeletons are the colors of the lasers that they get blasted with, either green or red. It's funny. Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Where are you? All right. Again, for some reason, it's another movie I never got around to seeing.
It's fun.
It's
just
a lot
to
of
turn
fun.
your brain off. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. You can tell
I'll have to
everybody
catch
in
it
it.
one of these days.
You can tell everybody
It's
in
having
it is
fun.
having fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're very self-aware.
Jack Nicholson is hilarious in that too. Like, you don't normally think of him as a comedic actor, and he's not hamming it up like the Joker or anything. He's like, as the president, he's good, but then as the Las Vegas like mogul guy, he's a riot. I mean, I thought it was a totally different actor because he has prosthetics on.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really funny.
He has a great sense of timing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what works perfectly for comedy.
Rod Steiger's in it too. He's good.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
He's funny in that movie.
Yeah,
Rod
he
Steiger's
is.
great in that movie.
He's the general who just wants to nuke everybody.
Yep.
He just wants to nuke them all. Yeah, nuke them, man.
It makes Patton look like Barney.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him since End of Days. Jeez.
Yeah.
There you
Oh,
go.
wow. Okay. Yeah.
All right. That brings us to Eric. What do you got for us? Number 4.
Okay. Somewhat in the same vein as my last movie, but we're going to remove Sylvester Stallone and replace him with someone with even less charisma
Let me
and
guess.
less notoriety.
Uh-oh.
We're going to take out an axe-wielding murder gang and add some bikers. Mike, I know you love this movie. I've only seen it for the first time for last year, and I've seen it a handful of times since. It's Stone Cold with Brian Bosworth.
The
Oh my
Boz.
gosh, what is that?
This movie is amazing for all the wrong reasons, and it's again they started off literally ripping off Cobra because Bosworth stops, a hostage situation in a grocery store. And it's just this movie it's kind of like Arnold in the 80s. They wanted an excuse to show off his muscles. This movie is just an excuse to show off Bosworth basically in his underwear for no reason, because his football career is over. So he's trying to make a name in Hollywood, and this is the only fucking movie that. This is I don't know if he played for Oklahoma or Cincinnati.
He was a big deal in college football, and then he came to the NFL and kind of flopped.
Yeah, that's so he made Stone Cold. But what I love about this. Was the two villains.
You made movies, yeah.
And these, like I said, the villains are a biker gang. And think of like all the over-the-top, awful stereotypes for bikers. They're drunk, they beat women, they rob, they pillage, they do all this stuff. And the lead biker, the boss, is played by Lance Henriksen.
Oh wow!
And his heavy is played by William Forsythe.
Yeah,
and they are introduced.
Yeah, that's a devastating gang, man. Yeah,
they're introduced by having a party, and William Forsythe is literally getting drunk and shooting beer cans off of random people's heads just for fun. This is so much, like I said, you think over the top action. This is so much over the top, unnecessary action. It doesn't stop. There's helicopter chases and churches blowing up, and Bosworth just trying to act. He's got like a pet Gila monster for no fucking reason. They make a big deal about that. It's so absurd, so goofy, so much fun. And Lance Henriksen is like, this isn't like, current Lance Henriksen who he knows what he's in. He rolls his eyes. He's taken this role 100% serious. He's the only one in this movie that is taking this serious.
When was this movie made?
Late 80s?
Late 80s, early 90s, maybe.
I never heard of it. It's funny, Eric. At first, I thought you were going to say it was Seagal, Steven Seagal. When you mentioned somebody less than Stallone.
I knew this movie was going to be on here. I knew it.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can replace Boz with Seagal because Seagal's got the bad ponytail. Boz has the mullet. Like the white trash mullet, like the buzz cut on top of the white trash mullet.
When the mullet is a menace, man. When the mullet is a menace.
Oh my god!
They got to stop bombs and land. By the end of it,
I'll have to look this movie up.
He sneaks into a church dressed as a priest. He's shooting everybody. He escapes on the back of a motorcycle. William Forsythe is being chased by the Boz. They're both on motorcycles down this highway, and everything. Traffic's going back and forth. He's busy poking fun at Boz. Oh, you can't catch me! Boom! Right into a fucking semi. He has like this over the top biker funeral where they tie his dead body to his chopper and they put him on this big funeral pyre, like fucking Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi. It's so much fun. And I sound like I'm making all this shit up, but Mike, I'm telling the truth.
Wow. This is a fucking B-movie masterpiece, man. Maybe even a C movie.
It wanted to be Mad Max,
Yes.
And it was
kind of.
Wow, I have to check this out.
Kind of like Angry Matthew, not even a Mad Max. It was
when he
91.
When he puts Bosworth in that fucking Kevlar vest.
Yes.
And he just asks him to turn around, because he wants him to see this new recruit that he's got. And he just pulls out like a fucking 357 and just shoots him dead center in the fucking it just blows him across. He blows him across the fucking pool table.
Yes,
just for funny. Fucking shits and giggles. Because he knows he's not going to kill him because he's got the fucking Kevlar on.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, what a fucking movie.
And like I said, I saw this for the first time within like the last year, maybe 2 years.
Wow.
And it's become a favorite. I probably watched it like 3 or 4 times. It's just so much fun. I absolutely love this movie.
He had these other movies that just went nowhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the problems with Bosworth was he had a lot of performance enhancing substances when he was playing football.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got to the big leagues where that didn't matter so much. And so they transitioned him directly into movies. Because I remember he got run over one time by Bo Jackson. On Monday night. He got run over one time by Bo Jackson on Monday Night Football. And so I think his manager said, we need to find you something else to do. And while all the fucking gas was still running in him, he made this one good movie. But then, like after that, like he stopped doing the gas because of his health, I'm sure. Yeah. And then he didn't have the same presence anymore.
Right.
Yeah, because he was huge in this. Yeah, like I said, that's why, like Arnold, he tried his best just to be in his underwear, just to show off his muscles. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It has anything to do with the story. It's just, he was banging this one chick last night. The cop comes in. He just shows up in his underwear with the hooker behind him, type of thing. Has nothing to do with the story. Just Boz getting to show off his pecs. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And you've got
fucking give your girlfriend something to look at.
Indeed, and you've got fucking Lance Henderson, going on a fucking rampage.
Yes,
the whole
great. Believe it or not, go ahead, Patrick.
The whole point was his character was supposed to protect his judge. The judge was the target of the gang. This is such a pariah movie. I mean, everything that he was supposed to do, he didn't. Everybody died. It's like, wow, you're like the worst cop ever.
It's a fucking class. It was a one-off.
All right.
But we loved it while it was here. Hold on a second. We've got Slasher Fred saying Cobra is a version of Beverly Hills Cop. That's one way to look at it. We got the Goraphobe in the house saying Lance Henriksen is the man. What's happening, man?
Yep.
One of my favorite guilty pleasures is a TV movie that came out in 2000 called Cabin by the Lake, where you have Judd Nelson as the main antagonist, Stanley Caldwell. I don't know that one.
Oh, geez.
Yep. Hold on a second. Bo Jackson could have been the best running back of all time. One of the best. Yeah, if he hadn't destroyed his hip. Yeah. The Boz is no Lyle Alzado.
Oh, geez, I haven't heard that name in forever.
Hurt my Raiders when he went down. I mean, even Alzado, I think that's what ended up happening to Alzado, didn't he? He died of.
He had a brain tumor from, I think, the steroids or something.
Yeah, something. It might have been some because of the performance enhancement.
Wow, I haven't heard of Lyle Alzado in years.
He a few weeks later died. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember he made that commercial. He made that commercial, and it was very sad.
He actually played a character of himself on this one show called First and 10. It was supposed to be like a comedy, then comedy drama, and he played basically himself for like 3 or 4 episodes. And at the end of his run, they killed him off. He died of a heart attack from the steroid use, and then that turned out to be rather foreshadowing.
I can't knock anybody who wants to get off that stuff because the long-term effects are horrible. But it killed the Boz's movie career because he hadn't established himself enough to do anything else. All right, John, number 4, what you got for us?
Number 4, first of all, thank you for the shout out for First and 10.
Oh, no problem.
TV show with Delta Burke on before she did Designing Women.
Delta Burke.
Oh my God, yeah. Owner of a football team in Dallas.
And don't forget that after she left, don't forget who came in and took over.
O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson.
O.J.
Yeah.
Before that all happened.
Delta Burke was never seen again. Okay, yeah.
All right. Number 4. I got to admit, there's a lot of TV shows from the 60s when I was a kid I really got into and enjoyed, especially when they had John Williams doing the soundtrack, back when they called him Johnny Williams, But one of them they actually made into a movie in 1998, and I really thought it was going to make it because it had a lot of star power behind it, and it just never caught on, man. Lost in Space, 1998.
I love that one.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Love that movie.
Never saw this either.
It's a good one, Ryan. You would like it.
William Hurt plays the father Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mimi Rogers plays
Mimi Rogers.
Oh wow, Mimi Rogers.
Heather Graham plays the daughter.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Joey LeBlanc from Friends, who is trying to break out in the middle of Friends, plays Major Smith. And they were playing him like a Top Gun pilot.
Yeah. First one to get a bad guy buys the beer.
That's right. But Gary Oldman as Dr. Smith was brilliant piece of casting.
Yeah.
He was so goddamn funny in that movie. They didn't have enough of him. And surprisingly, very early in his career, Jared Harris.
Yeah.
Was in the movie playing an older version of
Will.
Will Robinson.
Oh, okay.
They got the same guy who did the voice of the robot.
Wow.
They really wanted to take it like a serious version of the movie and remove all the camp. The problem was when they had the camp, that's what made it work to me. When the robot was fighting because he was told to kill Will Robinson and it was going against his programming and starts ripping his bodies apart to get to the... And you're like... And I was in a movie theater and people were cheering on the robot. And it's such a bad movie. It really is. But I couldn't help it. When Dr. Smith comes around, Gary Oldman comes running around going, "We're doomed. We're doomed." And Matt LeBlanc boom, punches him, elbows him right in the face. Yeah, that felt good. I mean, because we're spoofing the whole concept of the TV show. But it was great. If they set it up for a sequel, never happened. Heather Graham never looked better in an outfit.
Yep.
That was
fantastic special effects.
I know it's very sexist, but it's true. They looked gorgeous in those things. It was wonderfully done and poorly executed.
I'm surprised that you said that this is a bad movie. I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I have nothing but fond memories.
Oh, no, I have fond memories. I'm saying it was bad because of it didn't do well.
Oh.
It just never got out of the game. I'm trying to take it on that approach.
Okay.
I was sat there when I saw it and I was like, oh my God, this is really,
really
good. Why didn't this catch on?
At
all? I mean,
Matt LeBlanc was great. I mean, the whole cast was top. I mean, you know, even John Hurt was fully vested in it. I mean, he was, you know, everybody played real, you know, they actually did a, you know, really fine job. No one slept on this and no one phoned it in.
No.
But it was funny because to me, people keep saying, "Oh, it's a bad movie, and I would ask them, "Did you see it?"
Yeah. What do you need to be?
I mean, I said, "I saw the movie." I said, "I'm so," and that's kind of why I put it in because there's so many people, especially when I work in the theater and work with actors. I'll see the movie and put it on, and people look at and rag on me to this day. I'm like, you know what? Screw you. You know, it was a good flick. It worked.
Yeah. It was another example of a good '90s movie. Solid cast.
You know what? Thank you for including this because now I don't feel so wrong because you brought in a really good movie and that makes me feel a little better about the ones I got too. Because
well, I mean, you know, you could look at it this way. I mean, is it Ridley Scott's Alien? No, or is it like 2001: A Space Odyssey?
No.
But it's still a good fucking movie. Yeah, it didn't try to be.
One of the movies that almost made this list, and you know, it didn't, so I can talk about it a second. I came real close to putting Heavy Metal on.
Oh, that would have been good.
The animated feature.
That would have been
for
good.
That reason. But the point about it is, I wanted to put this on in that position. And I said because of all the movies that got called bad, and I'm like, no, I disagree. It was my guilty pleasure to enjoy it.
It's a good one.
You know, was it a sirloin steak? No, but it was a pretty goddamn good burger.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, so that was a good one. All right, the last number 4 is mine. I'm taking it. I don't even know how many people have seen this movie. I think it's fantastic. It does have a lot of plot holes, but I love it. I don't think this actor has appeared at all on the list. And I was surprised by that. But then again, I'm not because he can sort of slip out of your, you know, he can even move out of your periphery where you don't think about him until you see him. And then you're like, oh, yeah, that makes fucking sense. I went with Nicolas Cage in The Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
I
saw the first one.
I own this movie on fucking Blu-ray.
This is the second one.
Wow.
Yeah, the second one.
Yeah.
It's got Idris Elba. He's in it. It's got Christopher
Oh, wow.
Lambert.
Yep.
He's in it.
Wow.
Ciarán Hinds, the guy who played Julius Caesar.
Ciarán Hinds.
Ciarán Hinds, who played Julius Caesar in Rome. He plays Mephistopheles. He's taken over from Peter Fonda.
Mhm.
And I actually like him better than Peter Fonda. I don't actually think Peter Fonda can act. The problem, it's not a bad story. It's about, one of the many children that Mephistopheles has fathered is coming of age. And I think they're trying to decide whether or not he's going to be capable of handling some responsibility or whether or not he's just going to be, a fucking train wreck. And it has this, it switches back and forth between bright, vivid. I love the way that they did the color on it. And, it did like this matte sort of coloring during the battle scene. There's this one battle, because this happens in Europe and like in Eastern Europe. And there's this one fight where he's taking, the Ghost Rider is taking on this band of mercenaries that are working for Mephistopheles to steal the boy. And it is just a fantastic fucking action scene.
Right.
It does have some major plot holes. It just all of a sudden it just seems to end, and you're like, well, wait a minute, what? How does that fucking happen? But I like Nicolas Cage. I think he put in a good performance. It's a bad script. It's just a bad script.
Right.
I'm surprised they made a sequel.
The bad CGI too. Horrible CGI.
I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it actually. I thought that it added it was like more of it was less of a comic book movie, and it almost like when it got to time for the Ghost Rider, it almost moved into like horror action. Than some sort of comic book movie. And so the shades and the coloring and the way that they did the special effects, like where he's interrogating this one guy and he's trying to keep the rider out. And all of a sudden his eye bulges out turns into this skull eye. I was like, oh, what the fuck is that? Like, it worked for me.
This was it was directed by the guys that did like the Crank movies. So if you like the Crank movies with Jason Statham, that over the top, fast paced action, this is like that perfect movie for you.
I'll have to check it out.
I prefer the first one. I don't know why. I think it's because
Sam Elliott.
Well, yeah, of course, Sam Elliott.
That's right, Sam Elliott. Yeah.
But this was, I think, the first time when Nicolas Cage was really going batshit nuts. And he was kind of embracing that. And I'm really hit and miss when Nicolas Cage goes full Nicolas Cage, if you know what I mean. And he does that in this movie, and I think it's just a little bit too much. I like how he's a little more laid back in the first one, but I don't dislike this one, but I prefer the first one. Although I will say this, the action scenes in this one are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those are some fucking fights.
Mike, I agree with you because I think the first movie was more of like the comic.
Yeah.
And the second movie was more like an individual show. And you could tell by the way the first movie was all flames. In the second movie, he was more smoke.
Yeah.
Coming out of the Ghost Rider, as opposed to there was flames in the smoke, but he was all smoke and things and coming out of him that way, which was it gave him a dirtier feel.
Yeah, it was gritty. It was a very gritty.
Huh.
Grittier feel.
That's interesting.
I think he even pisses fire in this one.
Yeah. I like it. I have them both. I have them both on Blu-ray, but I prefer the second one to the first one.
Okay.
The first one very much had a comic book sort of glossy feel. I didn't mind the first one. I liked it.
Yeah, first one's cool.
I think that there are even a couple of MCU, I would watch this over maybe the Dark World, Thor's Dark World or something like that, or like Guardians 2. I would put those over that. I just like them more. But I think they're movies that they've kind of been forgotten about. And the Ghost Rider is a character that's been forgotten about. They did a really good job with him, I think, when they did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is he in that? Okay.
Yeah, but it's not Johnny Blaze. It's a Spanish guy. I forget his name.
Diego Luna.
No, the character name.
Yeah, Gabriel. I think it was Gabriel something.
Or something Reyes or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ronnie Reyes or something like
And
that.
instead
He's
of
the
a bike,
rider.
it was a car.
Yeah, it's like a Mopar car.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Agents of Shield is fucking tremendous.
Yeah, it was a send off on the later comic strips because there's like eventually like 5 or 6 Spirits of Vengeance in the comics. Johnny
Oh,
Blaze,
okay.
his crew, and one of them was Angels Reyes, who to save his brother, kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Saved the brother but took on the ghost, and instead of a bike, it was a car.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was
Yeah.
a bad.
And
That was a badass look too in that TV.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That
They did
was the
for it.
best story. That was the best arc of Agents of Shield too.
Great.
Yeah, it was. It was damn good. It was damn. You don't. The Ghost Rider is a very underrated person in Marvel, but
Yep.
he's like one of the most powerful.
Yeah.
But you know they haven't done much with him so far. All right, so that's my number 4. That brings us to number 3. And Patrick, what do you got for us?
I got Ticking Clock. This was a complete blind buy. I just grabbed this from I think I was at a Salvation Army blind buy. I got it because it had Neil McDonough and Cuba Gooding Jr. And I just thought this was absolutely brilliant. It starts off as a normal crime drama, but in the middle of it comes a twist, which I won't tell because I don't want to give it away. But it just takes this movie and bumps it way the hell up. This was so much fun. Cuba Gooding plays a man in love with a woman, and they're being stalked by a killer. And the woman he loves is killed, and he's praying for the crime, so he has to get out of it. And how he does is what drives this movie. I have never heard of this movie before. I've never heard anybody mention this movie since. Not one person. But this is such a great movie, and it's emotional. At the ending, it has a lot of heart to it. Yeah, and this came out, I think, 2011. I think it came out. Yeah, 2011.
Cuba Gooding won the Academy Award, and then you never heard from him again.
You know, he's made some really good movies since then. I don't know why or how he got driven down to direct-to-video movies, like Nicolas Cage, so to speak. But he
might have pissed somebody off or something.
I think the last thing I saw Cuba Gooding Jr. in was in Machete Kills. He was the chameleon. He was one of the faces of the chameleon with Walton Goggins and Lady Gaga. But that was
he was in season 5 of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
He was in American. He was great as OJ in the People versus OJ Simpson, the Netflix series. Yeah. He was fantastic as OJ. He was also in American Gangster with Denzel and Ridley Scott. Yeah.
He's done a lot of good movies, and he's done a lot. He's done a lot of direct to video movies that people haven't heard of, but he still hasn't lost any of his skill. He's still a very good actor. I mean, and that's the reason why I caught my eye, because they had Neil McDonough in it too. And McDonough is also another tremendous actor. He's done a lot of great things.
I like him a lot in Walking Tall.
Walking Tall,
yeah, he's great in Ravenous. He's the soldier.
Now he actually would have been a big star, except that he had one thing that he would never do. He would kiss a woman on screen. He says he's married. He's devoutly Catholic, and he said he'd never do a love scene he never kiss a woman on screen, and that has really kept him as a character actor instead of a leading man. So
he was good. He was the villain on one season of Arrow too. When I was still watching Arrow,
Damien Dark.
Yep. Yeah, he was Damien Dark.
He played Bison in the Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li. He elevates anything he's in.
I think he was in the Green Mile too.
He played Dum Dum Dugan in the.
That's right. Yeah, Captain America. Yeah.
Yep. And he's in Agent Carter too. I think he's Dum Dum in that.
Yeah, he did two episodes for Agent Carter. Flashback.
So I mean, this is just a fantastic movie. Highly recommend it. You'll probably have to go through Amazon or eBay to find it though, because I think it's probably out of print. Even though it came out on Sony, Sony distributed it, but I'm sure it's long out of print. But this is one definitely worth looking up for sure. I really enjoyed this one.
All right. Ryan, what do you got for us? Number 3.
All right, my only 80s movie on this list and the first sequel on this list. This movie, I think, is absolutely batshit brilliant. It's scary, and I think people didn't like it because it totally shattered every perception they had from the movie that preceded it. I'm talking about Return to Oz.
Oh yeah.
Return to Oz is brilliant, man. It is a crazy friggin' movie, and it's way closer to the L. Frank Baum novels. It's 2 of the novels that they combined. I had never heard of Fairuza Balk before this. You got Dorothy getting shock treatment because they think she's crazy. She's in a mental asylum. The great Jean Marsh is in it. Nicole Williamson. You got this Mombi the witch is taking her head off.
Yep.
She's getting other heads and putting them on. The yellow brick road has been destroyed. Oz is a complete mess. It's a total dystopian, just crazy movie. And it's absolutely brilliant. I was obsessed with this movie when I was younger. And the Gnome King, Nicole Williamson plays the Gnome King. He's great in that, and they do the same thing like in the Wizard of Oz, where some of the actors play dual roles, because Nicole Williamson plays the doctor at the mental hospital. He also plays the Gnome King. Jean Marsh plays like the nurse, and she's Mombi. The girl in the asylum with Dorothy is Ozma, the princess, later on. But this movie totally is nothing like the Wizard of Oz. Like I said, if you're a fan of L. Frank Baum's novels, if you're a fan of the Oz novels, this is a great movie. The Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion are in it. They've been turned to stone, but their depictions in the movie are like the original W.W. Denslow, John Arneal illustrations from the books. But they combined a couple of the books. They combined, I believe, the second and third books together to make this movie. Jim Henson's Creature Shop did the effects for the Gump and Jack Pumpkinhead. Brian Henson is the voice of Jack Pumpkinhead. It's a fantastic, fabulous movie. It didn't do well because people had the notion of, the Wizard of Oz. And then this came out and people were like, what the hell is this? It's scary as hell. It really is a scary movie. And it's absolutely brilliant. So this is, it's excellent.
Yeah, it's a total 180 from the original movie.
Yeah.
And that's, I like when sequels do that sometimes. When I first saw it, I was young, so I didn't know what the hell I was watching, you know what I mean? But when I realized and I read some of the books, it makes a lot of sense. And it is so, like, the original movie is so beautiful and pretty and fun. It's got its scary moments with the witch, but overall, it's a fun movie. This movie is so dark. Like you said, Dorothy's still telling Auntie M and Uncle Henry, Oz is real. Oz is real. So back then, what do? Let's give her some shock therapy. You know what I mean? And fix her.
Yeah.
So when they go to the Emerald City and everything's destroyed, and the Wheelers are chasing her, these guys on these giant wheels and stuff like that. The animation for the Gnome King is so good, but just so terrifying. It's a good movie.
It's awesome. Yeah.
It's one of the. I didn't even know this was a movie.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
82, 83, something like that.
It came out like 85 or 86, I think.
Oh, okay.
Like mid-80s. Yeah.
It's funny. It's like a lot of the Oz movies now, like the Oz, the Great and Powerful, and another movie with Neil McDonough in it. They did it for the Sci-Fi Channel called Tin Man.
Yeah.
Yep, they have made the Dorothy story awfully dark.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Fairuza Balk was only like 8 or something when she did this. It was like one of her first movies.
It was her first movie. And I like Fairuza Balk. She does some crazy stuff, but I like her. She doesn't appear in a lot of stuff, but she's cool. And yeah, it's totally different from Wizard of Oz. It's awesome. It's great.
All right. Let's see. That brings us to Eric. What you got for us? Number 3.
Okay, it's not, obviously it's not my number 1 guilty pleasure, but it's probably based on the criteria, probably the worst film on my list.
Uh-oh.
We've already talked a comic book movie earlier, and I figured I can throw in a comic book movie because it's a sci-fi comic book movie. Okay. It is, Mike always likes to mention how Blade was the first actual Marvel movie. However, this was the first movie based on a Marvel character. I said, why the hell not? I've loved it since I was a child. I picked Howard the Duck.
Oh, jeez.
I knew it.
This was the one I knew would get everybody's eyes rolling, and I don't care. I love how bizarre this movie is. I love how it's so self-aware. This is a movie about a duck who crash lands on Earth, and everybody on Earth is okay with it. It's not like, he lands in Cleveland, Ohio. Okay. If this was fucking LA, it would be all right. But it's just Cleveland, Ohio, and it's a walking, talking duck. And it's got Leah Thompson, and it's sexy 80s Leah Thompson. Jeffrey Jones is so batshit crazy in this and over the top. Future Academy Award winner Tim Robbins plays a really, really stupid janitor who's trying to help them save the world. I don't know if this was before or after Willow, but this was like one of George Lucas's biggest regrets as a producer because he sunk so much money into this movie, and it just flopped so bad.
He didn't direct this one.
No, he produced it, and he lost so much money on this.
Yeah,
it's got bad dialogue, it's got bad special effects.
Yeah,
but to me, it's one of those movies. You know what you're getting into. Look at the fucking title.
Exactly.
All right, it's called Howard the Duck. What do you expect? It's not going to be Lawrence of Arabia. All right, it's Howard the fucking Duck. And I like the animatronics used on the head. I don't think it was Jim Henson, but I think it's really well done. It's just one of those. This is one of those so bad it's fun movies. There is no way I'm not going to defend the acting. I will not defend the dialogue. It's awful. But it's one of those movies that I could sit down and just, I don't know if maybe it's nostalgia glasses. I still have fun.
Patrick has tears in his eyes.
I'm just like that movie.
Patrick, I've seen some of the movies you enjoy, so you got no fucking way to
what?
This movie.
I always watch fine entertainment.
Right. But this is one of those movies that was so bad. I'm not going to admit. I'll admit this. I watched this again. I didn't need to, but I rewatched it for my old podcast a couple years ago. My daughter was 8 at the time. She left the room.
Wow.
That's how bad.
What did that tell you?
But
that
you know what?
That movie wasn't what was supposed to be quack up to be.
Yeah, not at all.
It was also written. It was written by the It was written by the husband and wife team that wrote Temple of Doom.
Really?
The same people, who wrote Temple of Doom. And I think because that movie, because they wrote that and that did well, I think George Lucas was like, okay, you guys can do Howard the Duck. And then,
I so wanted that movie to succeed when I was younger. I read the comics and they changed them because in the comics, Howard the Duck was a smart ass.
Yeah, he's a wisecracking, like private eye type of thing. Yeah,
like Deadpool without the swords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he was breaking the fourth wall, talking shit and everything else, and they didn't do that. They cleaned it up for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's a mistake. They should have went for the adult audience.
Mm-hmm.
They really should have, because it could have been great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it really could have been great, and it just boom. And it was funny because of that movie not doing well. If I'm not mistaken, the husband and wife writing team, a few years later in the 90s, there was a TV show called Duckman.
Yep, I watched it.
Oh,
they're the ones that helped conceive that.
Mhm.
because
Wow.
that's how they wanted Howard the Duck to be, more like a detective and
Mhm.
that, you
Jason
know,
Alexander.
Oh, okay.
yeah, not with the pig, you know, as a sidekick. But that was the whole point. They wanted him to be a smart ass,
Mhm.
Yeah.
smarmy kind of guy.
And this
Smart ass duck.
this movie was such a failure. That's why there was no Marvel movie until
Right.
Blade, because
Yeah.
Marvel just didn't want to chance it ever again.
And
Hopefully they won't.
he's made his return very subtly in the MCU. Howard
Yep.
the Duck showed up
Wasn't
in
he at the
Guardians
end
of
of
the Galaxy.
Guardians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually was very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, for about 5 seconds.
But but that's enough though. That's fine.
That's
you
all
know?
you need. That's all you need.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
absolutely right. That's enough.
He's got his martini. He's, you know.
You took the words
And
right
the
out of my
voice
mouth.
by
That's
Seth
enough. Yeah.
Green.
Yeah.
The voice was Seth Green. You knew.
Oh, was it really?
You know,
Oh, God.
yeah. I was sitting there going, they could actually make this a smart-ass film. But, you know, my God, you can't. It's Marvel, which is now business.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, they're making canon
Yeah.
now anyway.
Oh, shut up.
No, well, you're not going to shut up because you're up next.
Well, let me spin around.
Number 3.
Number 3. This is a movie that came out in 1986, and I really liked it. But it's everything you were talking about, Mike, is it gets crucified with dialogue, plot points, and stuck with the animation that they had.
Hmm.
The movie was called Black Moon Rising.
Ooh.
Came out in 1986.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never heard of this.
Jones,
Ooh.
Linda Hamilton, Robert Vaughn, and the great
Tommy
thespian Bubba Smith.
Bubba Smith.
Yeah.
Bubba Smith was in this too.
Yep.
And everybody, the grandmother, John Carpenter did an acting part in this.
He helped write it.
Wow.
He helped write it with
Yep.
James Cameron.
Yep.
And it was right after Terminator,
Mm-hmm.
the first one. Linda Hamilton and Tommy Lee Jones is a thief.
Mm-hmm.
Very expert type thief that was on the payroll of the FBI because they had to have him steal a plot design that was going to change a possibility of a nuclear war, blah, 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 blah. He steals the designs and sticks it in a car that's supposed to be a new age type car, the latest thing, and you find out later on the car has artificial intelligence. And when he comes back to get the link out of the car is stolen by Linda Hamilton. So it becomes a chase.
Yeah. It's
And
fun.
In the movie, at one point in time, they have Linda Hamilton playing like a teenager and talking to Robert Vaughn on a video, and it's this close to being child pornography.
But it's Linda Hamilton in 1986. How are they doing that?
Yeah.
They aged her down with hair and everything else, and she looked like she was 16,
Oh, God.
15 years old.
You forget how many bad movies Linda Hamilton was actually in.
Yeah.
King Kong Lives.
And the thing is, Tommy Lee Jones did more eye rolls in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he
Sure
was
he
going to
did.
spray his fucking face because of how bad it was. Him and Linda Hamilton were kind of funny together, but it was just like, wait, what, rewind this, what the fuck? You know, to
Yeah,
make
somehow
sure that
Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
there's a point because they're supposed to be both of them these expert thieves that can crack codes and computer things, and they're getting trumped up by a master lock. And Tommy Lee Jones's line is, "Hey man, sometimes the old stuff are the hardest ones." Done. I got done. I really wanted this to be a good movie, man. Just didn't work. And I still watch it in hopes it'll eventually happen. But no.
I used to have that with Bram Stoker's Dracula. I actually own it on Blu-ray, and I think when I first started the show, I would talk about how every 6 months, because I could only take it every 6 months,
Right.
I would put it in, and I would say, "This is the time. This is the time. I'm going to get through this fucking movie, and it's going to be good." And I'd get to the fucking halfway point, and you know, we'd be ballroom dancing and, you know,
Yeah.
pirouetting. And I'm like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Goddamn. There's another goddamn hour I'll never get back again.
I got to the last scene where Tommy Lee Jones is lying on a bed on top of the covers, and Linda Hamilton is lying under the covers with just a sheet. And you can tell she has no clothes on. And Tommy Lee Jones is having a hard time getting in the mood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they were ending the movie, with Linda Hamilton busting his balls. And I went, this is it? Are you fucking kidding me? I wonder people who invented Viagra saw the end of this movie and, like me, were so pissed. Put their knowledge and said, we're going to save at least Tommy Lee Jones's dignity. It was horrible, and yet I still love it. I still wind up watching it every time I see it.
Well,
I'd
it's
say
a free
maybe
country.
I'll get it.
All right. Well, I'll know to fucking avoid that like the plague, but
yeah.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's no Howard the Duck. I'll give it that.
Avoid that like a rat bite in the fucking 16th century. All right. So,
Wow.
I wanted to give you a bad one.
No. You were like, I mean, obviously everybody on here is a fan of Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, yeah.
And it's obvious that everybody on here is a fan of Linda Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, it's also obvious that, you know, Tommy Lee Jones has a much broader, you know, record than what Linda Hamilton. And you forget how many like I was just saying about 5 minutes ago, you forget how many bad movies Linda Hamilton was actually in.
Children of the Corn.
And we talked about Children of the Corn, and Eric and I have done The Terminator, you know, which is kind of her, you know, her heyday. But I mean, there were many more bad ones than there were good. And it's a shame because she's actually not a bad performer, but she never seems to have any luck with her selection. She should like fucking sue her representation or something.
Yeah,
it was like getting her all these shit movies because it was just one shit movie after another. And for a long time, it seems like, you know, oh, it's Linda Hamilton because you remember her fondly from Terminator and Terminator 2. You know, and maybe it was just that, you know, she worked well under direction with Cameron. Maybe that was it.
Actually, she was pretty. Actually, I got to say, one thing she was really good in too, and she did a TV show called Beauty and the Beast with Ron Perlman.
Oh yeah, with Ron Perlman. I didn't watch it, but yeah, that ran a long time.
Yeah, that was good.
Great together.
Yeah, that's a fun series.
Fun series.
Yeah. I forget about that. Yeah, okay.
It's what's the movie that Tommy Lee Jones did with Steven Seagal on the ship?
Under Siege.
Under Siege.
Yeah.
There are people I know who've seen that and said they really didn't. This is the worst Tommy Lee Jones film, and I said, Black Moon Rising.
Yeah.
And
the Critical Drinker just did a video recommending Under Siege, you know, and he was talking about Seagal and what he's eventually become. Yeah, what he became. But what ended up happening was he did those first couple of movies, and they did well. Like he did, you know, Above the Law, and then he did like Hard to Kill or whatever. And then they said, okay, maybe this guy's ready for a big budget.
Yeah.
And for what it actually was, he said, you know, it's not a bad movie.
no, it's not.
You know, and he said after that, unfortunately, you know, it fell off. You know, he never, and everything has been sort of a descent since then. But
that's a shame too. That's a shame too, because Under Siege 2 was really good.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Tommy Lee Jones has a worse movie. Tommy Lee Jones has a worse movie than Black Moon Rising. Batman Forever.
Well, that's true, but he has help.
Oh, yeah. Fuck, that's bad.
Not as bad as Batman and Robin, but he's a
but he's not in it.
See, here's the thing, though.
Two-Face.
With Batman Forever, I can have fun, and with the campiness of it, I think Black Moon Rising is just boring, and that's one of the ultimate sins of a movie. This is a movie that has, you know, him being a thief. We have action scenes, fast cars, and it's boring.
Wow.
Yeah,
boring action. That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's not good. Yeah, that's not.
I'll give it one good scene. In the very beginning, when a guy's trying to rob a convenience store, Tommy Lee Jones tells him why he's going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great scene because it's the master criminal telling him you're being an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
really works. But other than that, boom, it just goes downhill.
It just goes to show where everybody starts off, because I think it was a few months ago I did a show with Rod, and I can't remember what it was that we did, but we started talking about Cormac McCarthy, and then we started talking about the Sunset Limited,
Right.
that stage production he did with Sam Jackson. John, you might, Ryan, you guys, well, you all might remember this. They did it live on HBO. Right. There was one live production that they did strictly for HBO. And it's just a fucking masterclass.
Yeah, I showed it in my acting class at ACCC. When I taught, I made
so
them
good.
Watch it and got a copy of it and showed it and said, "This is live." This isn't, you know, the two of them were brilliant.
Yeah, and I just watched that recent.
You know?
Huh? Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones has the chops.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Give him a good role, man. He'll eat it up.
My first.
Watch him in Lonesome Dove. He's a brilliant.
Oh man, yeah, he's Woodrow Cole.
Lonesome Dove, yeah, he's fantastic.
Oh yeah. My first
I loved him in JFK. In the movie JFK,
yeah, that's right.
Hot and Cold, he played that the one who gets charged.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he was brilliant in that.
The
Yeah, a lot
Fugitive.
of people were. A lot of people were. I think a lot of people didn't like, for some reason, it just didn't go over well. I think because of, you know, people claiming the inaccuracies or whatever. Yeah. That was a good fucking movie. Joe Pesci was great. Costner was great. Michael Rooker was great. Yeah. Gary Oldman was Lee Harvey Oswald.
Mm-hmm. And,
you know?
And I'm sorry, him and The Fugitive.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. I was waiting for him to bark.
Didn't he win the Academy Award?
Yeah. Supporting actor.
Yeah, he was the fucking junkyard dog in that one, man.
He was the junkyard dog in that movie, man.
Yeah. That's
and the
that's
second,
a
and the second one
movie.
wasn't that bad either. The
U.S. Marshals. Yeah, that was pretty. That was okay.
Yeah, I really liked Tommy Lee Jones. That's why when I saw this, I was like, oh man. And every time I see it, what the fuck?
I'm glad we're on video, because the look on John's face when he said, "Oh man," you just see the disgust when he shakes his head.
It's just
the disappointment.
It's so different.
You know, they all start somewhere. You know.
Please, the next one, go on.
Yeah, all right.
He's gonna start crying. Hurry up.
I can't talk about it anymore. All right, let's change the subject. All right, that brings me to number 3, my own selection. And again, this is another performer, actor who I was very surprised didn't make it onto anyone's list. Both of the people that are in this movie didn't make it onto anyone's list. They easily could have. I love this movie. I'm actually ashamed because I don't own it. For some reason, I don't own this movie, and I need to fucking fix that. And this movie goes back to the days when John and I and Paul and everybody else were sitting around watching movies like this. Not movies like this. We're actually watching this movie. I went with Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen in The Rookie. I fucking love this movie. Holy! If you've never seen a Clint, if you haven't seen this movie, find this fucking movie.
I haven't seen
No,
it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my God.
Oh,
they filmed it in San Jose. I lived in San Jose at the time they filmed this movie. They filmed it at San Jose Airport, San Jose International.
Buddy cop movie. Clint Eastwood in the lead. Charlie Sheen is the new partner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Julia.
Yeah, they're all going up against a mid-level, low-level sort of criminal, not a street criminal. He runs like a car theft organization, like Chop Shops.
Okay.
The main villain is Raul Julia.
Ooh.
So it's Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen versus Raul Julia and his heavy, who's actually a woman. It's Sonia Braga.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And it is just one of the best action movie comedies of all fucking time.
Okay.
Oh man, just all it's just nothing but one-liners. Clint Eastwood is being Clint Eastwood, but on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And
this was
he's
probably
playing it
before he drank the tiger blood.
Yeah, before the Tiger Blood and before the winning, Charlie Sheen plays the straight man. So he's like this stiff sort of rookie cop who's partnered up with Clint Eastwood, who's always drinking on the job and cursing everybody out and intimidating witnesses. He catches this one guy in a junkyard, and he uses the junkyard magnet to grab his fucking BMW while he's in it, and he's smashing the guy's fucking car with him inside of it to interrogate him for fucking for answers. Clint Eastwood ends up getting kidnapped by Raul Julia, and like Charlie Sheen has to like lose all the stiffness and start to become like Clint Eastwood to like rescue him. It is fantastic.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
I've never even heard of this. I'll have to look for it. Well,
I think it's 1990 or 91.
I've heard of it.
I'm not gonna.
I just never saw it.
I'm not gonna lie with this.
I saw it once, way back in the 90s. It's a lot of fun for sure. Definitely a lot of fun.
I'm not gonna lie with this being a guilty pleasure. Once you say Clint Eastwood, I was thinking what like Every Which Way But Loose with him and the orangutan.
You can just as easily go that way. Yeah. You can
now, how is Charlie Sheen? Is he a step above or below the orangutan as a co-star?
He's above. Charlie Sheen.
Not equal. No, he's better.
Charlie Sheen was like the Wall Street era, and
okay, all right.
He was still acting, and
yeah,
he was actually very funny.
People forget that Charlie Sheen was people forget that Charlie Sheen. I mean, and it's easy enough to forget, but he's a really good actor.
I love him in Major League.
He's great in Major League.
I love that movie.
He was great in Young Guns.
Yes, he's great in Young Guns.
He was great in this. He was great in Wall Street.
Terminal Velocity. The Wraith.
He was in 2 scenes in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And movie.
Yeah.
Where he was sitting in the police station flirting with. Yeah. I mean, he was great in that scene.
Yeah.
Wasn't it this first movie after Platoon, Mike?
I think it might have been. And people forget he was the main star of Platoon.
Yeah.
Like this guy was like he was being groomed for like one of the big fucking, one of the big fucking slots, and he just went off the rails, and like his brother never his brother sort of Emilio Estevez sort of fizzled out, but he was the guy. He was in The Outsiders.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Coppola was the Outsiders. Everybody was in The Outsiders.
Yeah.
That was a good startup movie for a lot of young actors at that time.
Well, it wasn't. I saw Rob Lowe on Rogan, and he said basically what that was is that they filmed all day. He said you couldn't get away with this now. You filmed all day. Everybody was 18 or younger. You filmed all day. They took you back to the fucking hotel room, and they just loaded you with beers and girls all day.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, that's all it was. And so, if you already had that predisposition for addiction, like Charlie Sheen seemed to, and like a lot of those guys seem to, it set them up to fail.
Yeah.
And Rob Lowe said that the Hollywood today isn't the Hollywood from then. He goes, if you could have been on the set, he goes, it all climaxed when I was on the set for Oliver Stone's Wall Street.
Right.
He goes, the shit that went up with Michael Douglas, Oliver Stone, Charlie Sheen, all those people back then, behind the camera.
Yeah.
He goes, there's no way in hell you can make movies like that anymore today. And I think, Charlie Sheen never came out of that spiral.
Right.
Yeah, but if you look at The Outsiders, Tom Cruise was also in that group.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze.
There were a lot of people, Diane Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that were there that worked in that movie. Now, granted, if Coppola is saying, please, boys and girls, indulge, then again, that was also the independent director style or the independent studio style that they were doing. I mean, shit, look at the stories here about on the set of Godfather or on the set of Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
With Coppola doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, the difference is that they were. The difference is that there's a difference between, Charlie Sheen back then and Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Of about 20 years.
Yeah. Charlie Sheen, I think they wanted to be the next Martin Sheen.
He could have been.
The one he did better, in my opinion, was Emilio. Emilio went his own path.
Yeah, Emilio has done fine. You guys, he's a fine director. He won a lot of awards for Bobby. That's a brilliant movie.
But it's just the way they, and I feel bad for Charlie because I even liked him in 2.5 Men. Him and John
I never
Carter,
watched that. Okay.
Him and John Carter, the first 3 years before he started getting loopy again, funnier than hell. I mean, good timing on both of them.
For a while, he was the it guy, and then
he was the it boy.
Yeah,
right there.
The demons grabbed a hold of him. It's a shame.
It's a shame.
All right, that brings us to number 2. Patrick, what do you got for us at number 2?
So I decided to have a little fun, and this is the only movie that actually fits the criteria. But for number 2, I picked From Hell It Came.
What the hell is that?
Look at that thing.
Yeah.
There we go.
Remember who picked Howard the Duck first. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, see, that's why I said I don't want to hear any of your shit, Patrick.
But I'm giving you an out, Eric. I'm giving you a comeback. So next time I tease you, you can just say, From Hell It Came is a 1950 sci-fi movie where a young tribesman is he's killed. He's a prince, and he gets killed. And before he dies, he makes a curse on his killers and whatnot. And then he gets buried in this haunted area. And he comes back as a living tree.
Because of course,
he's an ant
right out of my mouth.
Tree beard.
So of course he's going around and he's trying to find people to kill, and you can tell that whoever killed him, because when they stabbed him before he became a tree, it's a knife that's stuck in his chest. So when he comes back as a tree, the knife is still there, and it identifies who killed him. And so he's walking around looking for the people who killed him, and he starts killing indiscriminately. And so there's the American, and he has to go and try to stop this guy before he kills anybody else. This is on Warner Archives, and this is a lot of fun. And it's goofy as hell. This is exactly what a cult movie is all about. This is when you get your friends together and have a beer and a pizza and crack up.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this movie. It came out on Blu-ray. It has a couple of features on it.
On Blu-ray.
Yeah, on Blu-ray.
The director
Coming soon to 4K.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, when I was growing up, there was a show called there was a guy called Dr. Shock.
Oh yeah,
and he used to do the shows out of Philadelphia, Creature Feature, and
WPHL.
He did this when I was a kid. This movie, because I remember Dr. Shock saying, "From Hell It Came, in New Jersey it went," because he saw the movie. And I remember seeing this movie, and I got to admit, when I was a kid, I was fucked up by it.
Yeah,
I spent it in the forest for about a week.
The fucking talking tree killing people, man.
I know.
Fucking me up too. Fucking tree killing people.
And then the next night, The Wizard of Oz was on, and the trees were throwing apples.
No, yeah, fuck that movie, man. Yeah, fuck that movie.
But I was like,
or Poltergeist when it's eating the kid.
I was 5 or 6 when I saw it. It scared the fuck out of me. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's still spooky. Let me tell you. Yeah, so you can get this on Amazon with the Warner Archive stores on Amazon now. So if you don't have this, I'm sure all 4 of you do have this. But to all those in the chat who don't have it, you can get this at Amazon at the Warner Archive store. And this is a hell of a lot of fun.
Patrick,
yeah,
I'll send you Eric's address so you can send him a copy. COD, of course. COD. Yeah.
50th anniversary edition.
Yeah. Collect on Duck.
Yeah.
Send him a double feature, Howard the Duck, and
We're gonna have some sort of exchange program between these two or something going on.
Jeez.
They're swapping movies.
Oh shit!
Well, that movie sounds real special. I'm not gonna lie. You know.
Oh,
Hold on a second. Alucard is here in the house, stopping
Yeah.
by. Thanks for stopping in, man. And one of my guilty pleasures I've seen is Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sly
geez,
Stallone
yeah.
is a cop. Yeah, it's Estelle Getty's his mother. That's actually a pretty funny movie. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I watched it once. Like, it was on, and I was like, it tricked me. Within like 3 minutes, I was actually laughing, and I was like, this is actually pretty fucking funny.
Did you ever hear the story about how Arnold tricked Stallone into doing it?
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. That's cool.
that is funny.
All right, Ryan, you're number two. What you gonna do?
Okay. This is the other sequel on my list, and I think it's one of the greatest sequels of all time. It's
not.
oh yes, it is.
It's not.
It's hilarious.
Give him
And
a second.
parody.
Give him a second.
It's a parody of itself. That's the brilliance of it. It's a parody of itself. Gremlins 2.
I love
2.
that movie.
It is awesome. It's a parody of itself. It's a cartoon. It doesn't take itself seriously. It's just reckless abandon. It's just a lot of fun. It's got a lot of good jokes in it. Christopher Lee is great in that as the aptly named Dr. Catheter. You got Phoebe Cates and Zach Galligan come back. The Futtermans are there.
Dick Miller, yep.
It's great. The cameo
Robert
by Hulk
Frosty.
Hogan is the best. We got another Bubba Smith reference in there because he's in there with Dick Buttkiss. It's just the cameos are hilarious. I love John Glover as Daniel Clamp, who's like a Trump parody. It's just fun. It's turn your brain off fun. Totally different from the first movie. Again, I love the first movie, but it's this one came out in like 91. Nobody was expecting it. Nobody was looking for a Gremlins sequel, but Joe Dante did a fantastic job with this. He made it into a cartoon. It's self-aware. It's not serious at all, and it's a blast. It's great.
Yeah, Joe Dante is a huge fan of Looney Tunes, and he said the only way he would make Gremlins 2 is if he could make it a complete black comedy.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, it starts off with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck introducing the movie. I mean, and it's great because Leonard Maltin plays himself, and the Gremlins kill him because he gave a bad review to the original movie. And Ryan, I saw this in theaters, and I really thought that the Gremlins destroyed the movie, and Hulk Hogan has to come and save them and stuff like that. But if you've ever watched it on VHS, and there's an actual they changed it for the VHS where the Gremlins destroy the VCR, and they get in a shootout with John Wayne. Of all people.
Oh, jeez. That's funny.
So it's so super self-aware, and that's why I think it's a lot of fun.
Who is it? Robert Picardo. He's the huge dickhead security guard who ends up falling in love with the girl gremlin. I mean, it's hilarious. So I like all the different mutated gremlins. You have the electric gremlin and the vegetable gremlin and the bat gremlin and all that. It's great.
When Phoebe Cates starts going down Arbor Day, and all the holidays because she was on Christmas, her father dying in the chimney, and I laughed out loud when she started doing that.
Well, she was talking about like Lincoln's birthday or something. Something like that.
And Robert Prosky's in it.
Robert Prosky. That's right. He's Fred, Grandpa Fred,
And Robert, I knew him for many years down in Cape May.
Okay.
And he said that was the most fun he had on the film set.
That's cool.
Or second most fun, he said, because everybody was having a great time.
Yeah.
Prosky used to do a great show when he was live called, Hey, Don't I Know You From Somewhere? And it's him with all the movies that he's been in. He goes, I'm not a celebrity that people go, oh my God, Robert Prosky, can I get your autograph? But I get a lot of people who walk up to me in a restaurant and go, don't I know you from somewhere? And he did a video respect. But he talked fondly about that movie.
Oh, yeah. It's hilarious.
He said how much Joe Dante did it and how much fun they were having doing it. It was
it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dante's one of my favorite directors.
I didn't see Gremlins 2, but I did see Robert Prosky when he did Hill Street Blues.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I was very lucky. I got to work with him and his sons on a play in Cape May.
Oh,
And
wow.
Bob Prosky and I knew each other for about a good 25, 26 years before he passed away.
Oh, wow.
And his wife asked me to speak at his eulogy in Cape May.
Oh, that's cool.
I stage managed him. There's the Arthur Miller's play called The Price.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only character Arthur Miller wrote was this guy who was he was an assessor of people's stuff after they passed away. And Robert Prosky played it. And the character calls for two sons. So he got his two other sons who've been in movies and TV shows. You'll see them all over. So all of a sudden there were three like movie stars on stage.
Oh, cool.
And it looked at me to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
More Twinkies and more booze ever. Sorry, name plug.
No.
Oh,
All right,
no, don't be sorry for that. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
it is indeed. All right, let's see. That brings us to Eric. Number 2. We're actually, for us, this is actually going kind of fast.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, sort of for us.
Compared to our last top 5, that's for sure.
Holy shit! Yeah, that was like 3 hours. And,
Yeah, that was a long one.
yeah,
I think I got a
okay.
shot of adrenaline.
I think what's actually slowing us, what's speeding this up is Patrick, because he brought movies that like no one can comment on, because like a lot of us haven't seen it. But that would be like, because this is running at about 80% of the time that we normally would. We've lost about 20%. We usually be right about 215, 220 right now.
Well, he got plenty of comments for that Killer Tree movie, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I can always show it again for number 1.
yeah, we can double back. We can double back around. Yeah. All right. Barring that, that'll bring us to Eric at number 2. What do you got for us, Eric?
all right. One of my favorite genres is science fiction and sci-fi horror in general, and I love cheese. You know what I mean? I love the cheesy sci-fi stuff. And you can see I'm wearing a Killer Clowns from Outer Space hat. That's an example. It's not on my list, but I don't know if Ryan was actually joking or not in our group chat. My number 2 pick is Critters.
Oh.
I love this movie so much. It's the it's the typical aliens crash land in the middle of nowhere in fucking Kansas. And what it is those things there, other than the teeth, they don't really look intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
And what they are, they can roll up into little, balls of fur. That's how they get from here to there. But they're really, really smart. They're really intelligent. And of course, they crash land in the middle of nowhere town, and they're just carnivorous. So they're going from here to there, eating people left and right. But the thing is, what makes this really fucking weird is creatures like that are so super intelligent. They have broken out off of a prison planet, hijacked a spaceship, and they are now being chased down by bounty hunters.
Yeah.
And these are bounty hunters with their humanoid bodies, but they have like a green face, green head, and they have to assimilate different, humans that they come into contact so they can, walk among us. You have they're learning Earth's history as they're traveling to Earth. And how do they learn Earth's history? MTV. So you have the one leader, I guess you would say. He takes the form of like Bon Jovi light. You know what I mean? Like a not Bon Jovi type of rock star. And then the ongoing joke with the other bounty hunters, he can't find the right match. So he assimilates a priest. He assimilates a cop that has been killed by the critters, except he assimilates the dead body's face. So it's got, the wounds and stuff like that.
Jeez.
It's goofy. It's cheesy.
The girl, too.
It's a nod to these 50s movies. Dee Wallace plays the mother.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. It's one of I don't really care too much for her in this, but she's better in this than she is in The Howling, so don't worry, Mike.
Dee Wallace is one of those people, it could either go really right or it could go really fucking wrong.
Yeah.
It really can.
It's a lot of fun. It's totals it's like an MTV generation movie. You have the rock music playing. You have as they're trying to find the critters, the bounty hunters are like a fish out of water type of story. They're trying to learn how to drive cars. They steal a cop car. They don't know how to drive forward, so they're driving in reverse. They accidentally shoot the rifle off through the roof of the car. They walk into a bowling alley.
Seen this?
I watch it all the time. I love this movie.
There is a similar scene to this in Critters and Men in Black 2. Remember in the first Critters, the girl she changes she assumes the form of a Playboy playmate.
Yeah, in the second one, yeah.
Yeah, includes the staples in it in her stomach, and that was the same thing they did with Men in Black 2. They did the same thing. Were that bounty hunters? I thought they were in the first one too.
Yeah, the bounty hunters. Yeah, the bounty hunters are in all 4 of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's 4 of those movies.
Well,
we've got critter scholars in the fucking house here tonight.
Yeah. Hey, I might not know all my times tables, but I know all 4 fucking critters movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Well, there's 4 of them. Jeez.
Yeah, it's just a fun turn your brain off movie, and that's what it is. It's cheesy sci-fi with some good horror elements to it. We got some nice, decent gore. Emmett Walsh plays the loser sheriff. Ben Shea plays like the lady who takes the phone calls in the police station.
Oh, Billy Zane's in it. Wow.
It's one of Billy Zane's first movies. He's one of the first victims of the Critters. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Of the sequel of the series called Critters 2: Back for Desserts.
Yeah, something like that.
It's called the main course. Critters 2: the main course.
Something like that. Yeah.
Shameless.
Wow.
Man, you had an awesome list, Eric.
Wow. That's a matter of opinion, but
no, your list is exactly what Mike was looking for, and you crushed it. This is a lot of fun.
I think everybody's in the ballpark there.
I was this close to picking Space Invaders, and after hearing the previous two,
that movie.
Space Invaders was a movie.
Spaced Invaders.
Yeah, with an ED, spaced.
I don't know. You know what was a good movie, and it would fit perfectly with this. That movie Battleship.
Oh, the new one.
Oh,
the one they did with
the new one. Yeah. Yeah.
Rihanna.
It's terrible, but
is that based on the game?
Something? No, not exactly. It happens at sea, but I think that's the only.
No, the bullets the aliens shoot at the battleship at the Missouri. They're literally the pegs that's used on the game.
Yes.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
And the red ones are killed, the white ones are stunned.
See, all right, you guys studied it way deeper than I did. Okay, I didn't get any of that. I watched it, but I mean, I didn't write a fucking paper on it afterwards, or anything like that.
Well, some of us do the doctorate degree.
That's true. Yeah.
I was waiting for someone. I was waiting for the guy who played the captain. I was waiting for him when the bullets hit, the rounds hit. I was waiting for him to hit there to say, "You hit my battleship," but he never, he never said that.
It would have been awesome if he did, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, John.
That's right.
No, well, it's too fucking late for that because you're up.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Like I said
number
earlier, number 2. When I came earlier, I almost did heavy metal. I also almost did a Cool World. That was one.
That's a trip.
Oh gosh.
And
Ralph Bakshi.
And that's the word. It's a trip. Sometimes when I see some animation stuff, especially when it's combined with real stuff, it kind of like blows my mind. And I had a problem with this one ever since I was a kid, and it was just a two album rock release. It's 1980s Alan Parker's Pink Floyd, The Wall. The Wall, for some reason, for the life of me, I have been trying to figure out since I was 13 years old. And this movie in particular, because even though it came out in 1980, and I saw it on a lot of midnight showings when I didn't feel like watching Rocky Horror, I remember when I was in college, and Lip, you'll could attest to this. When I was in college, there used to be parties where people would have a good time, and people were singing and drinking and smoking, and somebody would put on the wall and everybody would just shut up.
Yeah.
And was staring at it. And for the life of me, I didn't get it. I just could not get it. I couldn't.
It's a morose fucking album, man.
Yeah. I had a girlfriend in college at the time that we were pretty serious who broke up with me because she said, "Why are you watching this movie?" And I'm like, "I don't know." But I couldn't stop.
You're like Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters with the Mashed Potato Mountain.
Is it a concert film or animated or what is it?
It's animated. I know that.
Alan Parker, the director, did Mississippi Burning, The Commitments,
Yeah,
Ain't the Heart. He did it as a film.
Oh.
What's his name? Bob Geldof.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
He's the rock star. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and he acted it out, and you're watching it, and I'm going, I knew the album and everything else, but I'm like, when he comes out, so you thought you might like to go to the show, and his head is shaved, and his eyebrows are shaved off, and it's like neo-Nazis, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it's been with me all the time because like I got to do a concert version of the album on stage, and somebody said, "Hey, did you see the movie?" I went, "Shut up," because if I start watching it again, I'm never going to go on this stage. I could not, for the life of me, figure it out.
I've never seen it.
It's about Syd Barrett and his mental illness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Syd Barrett.
I knew, but every time I was watching it, I would all of a sudden say, "There's a deeper meaning." No, there's not. Yes, there is.
No, they're all really fucking high. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really high. And I was watching it sober because I didn't get high. I would drink a lot, but I didn't. I went, wait, what the fuck? Oh, fuck! There goes another Friday night. You know, I'd be up till Saturday morning trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a really maudlin fucking album because I mean it's about somebody going insane. You know, which Syd Barrett ended up being diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Right.
You know, who just sort of went away and then just showed up one day. Like the story is he showed up in the studio one day, I think when they were making what's the one with Shine On You Crazy? Wish You Were Here.
I Wish You Were Here.
They were making Wish You Were Here, and they said he showed up and he was like the former lead in the band.
Yeah.
And he had so radically changed, like he shaved his head and he had shaved his eyebrows because he was schizophrenic.
Right.
That his own friends didn't recognize him. They were like, who's that in the, like, who's sitting there in that chair? And you know, and then they realized it's them. And they said that, you know, like Shine On You Crazy Diamond is about him.
Right.
And they said when they played it for him, like he absolutely missed that the song was about him. Like he had, like he didn't make the connection at all. It's a very maudlin fucking movie. It's a great fucking album, but it's that's maudlin too.
Insanity runs in my family, and so I'm always worried about that. But I remember at that time, for the longest time, I'd be watching this and I'm going, and I forget what it was. There was one. I'm trying to remember who it was from the Stockton group who quite literally slapped. I think it was Julia Nembo, who slapped me in the face and said, "Will you knock it off? You're scaring the shit out of me." I went, "Oh, okay." That was like the only time I got pulled away from it. So to me, that's why I guess you could say it's a real guilty pleasure because I could easily get lost in it.
I remember Jeff Chase. I remember Jeff Chase, a friend of ours, 30 years ago, saying no one's ever going to figure out what that fucking movie's about.
Right.
And I just sort of took his word for it. And they've never bothered to explain it. And I don't listen to it very often. I have a couple of tracks here and there on a playlist here and there, but past that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Pink Floyd's The Wall, our first soundtrack. All right. that brings me to me. And now we are at the number 2 on my list. I love this fucking movie. I don't even know how many people will know about it. I'm thinking maybe not many. It's the only movie that I own where I own another movie, a completely different movie that has the same title. And more people know the other movie than they know this one.
Right.
And I don't see it ever stream anywhere. I watched it 25, 30 years ago, and I was just absolutely blown away. And the reason I picked it for a guilty pleasure is that the premise is just preposterous. But it's actually a very serious movie, a serious action movie, with some really solid fucking performers in it. I went with The Hunted.
I've seen that.
Oh.
That's a good movie. I like that movie.
Man.
Yeah. This
Really?
is a serious fucking movie.
Mhm.
Really good
Christopher
movie.
Lambert. Now, there's another movie that called The Hunted, and it's directed by William Friedkin.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
And it's got Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro.
Yeah.
That's
And
a hard one.
it's very similar to the original First Blood.
Mhm.
And Del Toro is a former, secrets kind of military guy who has had a psychotic break from all of the things that he's seen. And he's sort of running amok throughout the woods in Seattle and the city, killing people because he can't differentiate.
He's killing hunters.
Well, he's killing hunters, yeah, and he's just gutting them and doing all these awful things. This movie came out first, though, and this was back when you would go to the video store and rent movies,
Mhm.
and I had no idea what it was about. A friend of mine rented it. We sat down and watched it, and I proceeded to watch this movie with Christopher Lambert, and we all know Lambert from Highlander. So I was like, oh, Christopher Lambert's in this? Okay, no problem. Lambert is a businessman in Japan. He's there with his friends or his colleagues, conducting, some sort of corporate business. They're all going out to get drunk. He decides that he's going back to the hotel bar to have a couple of drinks, and he's turning in. He's like, I'm tired. I don't feel like going out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. At the bar, he meets a beautiful woman played by Joan Chen.
Mhm.
And they start talking.
She's so pretty.
Yes, she is. She is just gorgeous and very receptive to him. Next thing you know, they're walking through the city together. They end up hooking up. He's like, you know what? I'm going to cancel all my plans. I'm going to hang here for a little while and stay with you. And she's like, it's not possible. He leaves. He realizes he forgot his apartment key. He goes back. He goes, and she's actually being killed by ninjas.
Damn.
There's a hit on her. And the head ninja is played by John Lone from The Last Emperor and any number of fantastic, fucking drama movies. He did one action movie where he plays this guy, Kinjo, who's like the leader of a fucking ninja clan. And she is like the wayward mistress of this Yakuza boss. And so the Yakuza boss is disgusted with her and he just wants her dead. And it just turns into this insane action movie where he ends up getting protected by an old samurai family.
Mhm.
And it's like samurais versus ninjas in modern Tokyo, Japan. There's this crazy ass fight that goes on on this bullet train. It is fantastic. It is fucking fantastic, and I don't think not too many people know about this movie.
I've watched this movie several times. I know it very well.
I've got it on Blu-ray. This movie does not fuck around. It's just that the premise is just so preposterous that people could have these crazy, which they do. They have these crazy fucking sword fights. And one of the women, one of the female ninjas, she loses this fight, but in order not to be captured, she takes the fucking blade of the sword and runs it flatways across her face and cuts her whole fucking face off so she can't be identified.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a brutal movie.
Yeah, it is fucking fantastic. It's this sleeper movie with these three people that you would never think to put together, and the guy who is the samurai in the movie is actually a famous Japanese actor who's done a lot of samurai films. And Ronin Guy and several other. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
I don't think it was Mifune though, was it?
No. This was long after Mifune. This is a '90s movie. Mifune, I think, was dead, but Mifune died not long after he did Shogun. I think he played. Yeah. I think he played Tokugawa in Shogun, and Mifune died in like the late '80s or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah. So he did that Shogun movie where he's like the the international aspect, the big star. But yeah, after that, he didn't have much longer after that. But this movie is fantastic. It's got fantastic martial arts, great fight scenes. It's gory. It's a bloody movie. You've got Christopher Lambert, John Lone, Joan Chen, Ninjas versus Samurai.
I know that they're making a movie this summer, so be dropping with Brad Pitt. And I think it's called Bullet Train.
Yeah.
It's really have the same premise as they're doing the fight on the bullet train. So they just basically are copying this movie right here.
Yeah, except I'm sure it probably won't be. They don't make movies this graphic anymore.
Yeah, this movie, it doesn't play around.
Yeah, it doesn't.
This is when Christopher Lambert was a big star. He was huge. He was he did of course he did Highlander, and he did this one. He did Mortal Kombat.
He was rated.
Yeah, he was very popular. He did Tarzan, and he was.
Yeah, I forget about that. He played fucking Greystoke.
Yeah,
that was a good fucking movie.
Yeah. He's someone mentioned Diane Lane earlier, and him and Diane Lane were married, and they had a daughter who I got to interview for my series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No
got to interview. Yeah, no shit. Eleanor Lambert, really nice young lady. Yep.
I never knew that they were even married. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Very cool.
Both the movies. Both this movie and the Tommy Lee Jones movie. I mean, dude, I'll admit it in front of everybody, man. But that end of that haunted movie with Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio, dude, I cried like a damn baby. That movie was so good. At the end of that movie, yeah,
it's a shame because
so fucking sad.
You see in the end that Tommy Lee Jones had actually been. Tommy Lee Jones is like the Colonel Troutney character in First Blood, and you see at the end of the movie that he had been receiving the letters that Benicio del Toro had been sending asking for help, and he had just blown them off because he didn't have any answers on how to deal with it either.
Yeah.
And you just realize, it's almost like a thinking man's First Blood or something like that. I mean, it really is. It's a good movie, and it's directed by Friedkin. So, what the fuck? All right, that brings us to our number one movie. Hold on, we've got Slasher Fred saying one of the Guilty Pleasures movie is Frozen, not the one that most people. Yeah, I know, but the people are stuck on the ski lift.
Ski lift, yep.
Yeah, and those fucking wolves. Yeah. No, that's another rough movie. It's it's about as fucking friendly as The Grey, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a rough fucking flick. Yeah, they're stuck on a ski lift. In the middle of the night, and they just or it's over a weekend.
Yeah, they get stuck on a Friday, and the place doesn't open back up till like on Monday morning or something like that.
Jeez.
That was directed by Adam Green. That was he's done a lot of really good movies too. Really good movies. He did the Hatchet series. He also did a movie called Digging the Marrow, which is brilliant. Adam Green, he's great. He's a fun director.
Okay. All right, Patrick, that brings us to you. Give us your number one movie.
You left me huge footprints to follow up. That's for damn sure.
What do you mean? With The Hunted?
Yeah.
That's a good fucking flick, man.
But luckily for us, I think I can fill those up.
All right.
With Molly. This is my second favorite movie I've ever reviewed. This is it right here. This is Molly. This is directed by Steve Muse and Colinda Bongers, and this is also another film from the Netherlands. And this movie is bonkers as well. This features a dystopian future, and it's a plague has happened. And in looking for the plague, they've created, they didn't know, but they've created some people with special abilities, and Molly's one of them. And she's played by Julia Baton, and she is so endearing. You'll instantly fall in love with her character. And this movie is bonkers. Have several great fight scenes. One of the things you'll really notice is that when she fights, she can't stay on her feet. And when you sit there, you're sitting there and you're watching it. It's a little bit of a distraction almost, but it works. So she also has, like I said, she has abilities. So like if she fights, if she gets pinned in, she can like flex her mind and cause people to back off, sort of like telekinesis. And at the end of the scene where she's fighting the main bad guy. They do a 35-minute one-take shot fight of these guys in a narrow, small ship. It is small as hell, but they do a 35-minute one-take fight. It is amazing. It's one of the best fight scenes I've ever seen. Cool. This also came out with a sequel, which I have not gotten. I'm trying to get it, called Kill Mode. And this is brilliant. This is one of the best movies. Like I said, this is my second favorite movie I've ever reviewed. And this also came out on Art Exploitation. And I can't recommend this movie enough. This will be my number one for sure. I had a lot of fun with this. And again, Art Exploitation was based out of Philadelphia, not that far away from Jersey. Unfortunately, they got like I said, they got bought by Kino Lorber. I'm not sure if they're allowed to keep their name or not. So, but you guys can look it up online. But definitely, I highly recommend it. It's insane. The fight scenes are really, really well done. All practical effects. All practical. No, there's no stunt doubles. Julie did all her stunts.
Okay. Nice.
Yep.
Very cool.
Very cool. That's my number one.
Yeah.
Very
all righty. All right. Let's just keep it moving. Ryan, number one. What do you got for us?
All right. I'm bookending mine here with another Vincent Price movie. Speaking of insane, and you wonder how many drugs were consumed going into this making this movie. I picked the absolute gold standard here. The Abominable Dr. Phibes.
Yes.
Holy shit, what a crazy movie.
I just got that on Blu-ray today.
To say you're ugly. Okay.
Yes, it is an absolute riot. It's just so off the wall. Dr. Phibes, Dr. Anton Phibes, his wife was like in a car accident and 9 doctors work on her, but they can't save her. So he kills each of the doctors using the plagues of Egypt from the Old Testament. It is a riot. He can't he can project his voice, but he can't talk. His mouth doesn't move. He drinks out of his neck. It's just absolutely. He lives in this lair and he plays this crazy organ, and and then we find out that his face is actually a mask, and he's got this crazy scarred up face, skeletal face underneath. And I think Joseph Cotton is the last doctor, and it's just Terry Thomas is in it, and it's an absolute crazy movie, insane movie, and they made a sequel. They made a sequel. Dr. Phibes Rises Again. The best part is the end when he sleeps in a coffin. Dr. Phibes. And as he's being lowered into the floor in his crazy neon Art Deco lair, it's playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And then it just closes over him. And it is just absolutely, like, you have to see it to just understand what I'm talking about, because it's nuts. It's such a great movie, and it's an absolute crazy crazy movie.
It's so fun. I'm not lying. I literally just got it from Amazon today. I got the double feature Blu-ray. It came in the mail
Double
today.
feature Blu-ray. Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
part 1 and 2. This movie is so fucking bonkers, and it's
Oh,
fun.
it is.
You have now. Everyone knows me. I hate bumbling cops in horror movies, except this movie. These guys are very, very funny. They're not stupid, but they're not the smartest detectives in the world. Their timing with comedy is so good. You could tell. I would be very surprised if James Wan, when he was making the Saw movies, wasn't inspired by what Dr. Phibes does with a lot of these traps, especially the last one where they have to. I think they have to cut out a key out of someone's body or something like.
Yeah.
It's not overly gory, but it's got some really cool what the fuck moments, like when the guy's flying the airplane and stuff, that trap or whatever. It's a lot of fun. It's hammy. It's cheesy, and if you like, some of the behind the scenes stuff is like, one of the actors didn't get along with Vincent Price at all because a lot of his work was voiceover. Because he can't, his character can't speak.
Yeah, he just stares at people.
Yeah, so Vincent Price, because the guy was like, well, why are you getting paid all this money? You don't even know the script. And Vincent Price showed him right then and there on the spot. He read every person's dialogue right there in the front in his face, just to show him, just to shut him up, because that's how professional Price was. Right. He read the script from top to bottom and knew everybody's line.
Yeah, but it's just, and he's got the, what is it? He kills the one guy with like the frog mask, and he bleeds Terry Thomas to death, and it's just insane. But
I think there's one with Locust. I think he uses Locust.
Yeah. Yep. Well, because, and also it also mirrors, now my favorite Vincent Price horror film is Theater of Blood, and it's kind of similar in the fact that he kills people, he kills his critics in the style of Shakespeare plays, but in this he uses the 9 plagues of Egypt, and it's just great. Like, you wonder what was going through these guys' heads when they were writing this stuff. It's just it's great. And Vincent Price, that's why I said he was the Olivier of horror movies, because he would do anything. He would, and he's always perfect. He's always awesome to watch. I have a collection of Vincent Price movies, and it has Dr. Phibes on there, has Dr. Phibes Rises Again, has Witchfinder General, has Theater of Blood, has all these great movies on there. And it's the craziest Vincent Price movie I've ever seen. It just is so out there. It's so nuts. It's great.
Suddenly I don't feel so bad about picking the wall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There are levels. Yeah, there are levels.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to Eric with his number 1 guilty pleasure film.
All right, there's Vincent Price. One of the things you compare, one word to use to describe Vincent Price would be classy. There's nothing classy about my number 1. Mike has discussed this film already. It was on his Something Shitty.
It was my very first one.
It was. I don't care. It's one of my favorite fun horror movies. Patrick knows my love for this. I picked Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
Hell yeah. That's it. Represent, baby. Represent.
And here's why. This is the 9th, capitalize it, 9th fucking movie in the Friday the 13th series, and they needed to try something different. And in this series, like there's not a Friday the 13th movie overall that I don't like for some reason, but with this one, kind of like how Mike usually says after part 2, it gets very stale. This series got stale way before this movie. I like how this movie is pretty much nothing like its predecessors. We have body hopping. We have Stephen Williams as probably one of the coolest bounty hunter characters I've ever seen, at least in a horror movie. We have likable characters in a fucking Friday the 13th movie. We have I can hear Mike's groaning all the way from fucking Jersey. We have great gore. We have great practical effects from K&B. This is where K&B and Nicotero started. Yeah, I see you shaking your head, Mike.
No, we don't.
We have, in my opinion, this has got some good comedy. We got action scenes, shootouts, car chases. And then
Jeez, all this in a Jason movie?
Jason's
Wow.
just thrown in there for the hell of it.
Yeah.
This is not a air quotes good Friday the 13th movie, but in my opinion, it's a fun horror movie. And it is the shot of adrenaline that this series needed like a decade before it came out. This came out in 93.
Let's put it this way. This movie was so much fun that I like to think that it sort of provided a door opening, so to speak, because after this movie came my favorite Jason movie, and that was Jason X, which had a lot of the same spirit as Jason Goes to Hell. So I actually like this movie quite a bit. I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm not a really big supernatural Jason fan. But I understand. You know, we did our rankings of the movies last night on the Midnight Society, and I'm a Jason human. I mean, I like him when he's human. But as far as supernaturals go, I mean, you can't blame. You know, people make fun of the story or what have, but it's like, what would you do with Jason? I mean,
exactly.
If someone gave you. Someone said, write a Friday the 13th movie with Jason being who he was at this point. Yeah, please write me something original.
Yeah, it's like I said, this is the 9th movie. It's the same thing. Kids go out in the woods. Kids have sex, do drugs. Kids get killed.
Yeah,
it's old. I like the supernatural. I like the nods to other movies. We have some Evil Dead nods. We have some Creepshow nods. Aaron Gray is always nice to look at, whether it's Buck Rogers or this. It's just a lot of fun.
And I will tell you too. I'll have to do a drop here. We will be having the writer director Adam Marcus, who did this movie, who will be on the Midnight Society on July 3rd.
Oh wow!
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's
you heard it here first. You heard it here first. They have, I think on, what is it, on Discord, they have, if you're on various Discords, they have a section for shameless self-promotion. So you can just you put yourself on that way. Yeah, but yeah,
I have to get up. Well, I know you guys all want to come over and ask. Eric's going to be a special guest host from that show. By the
that's
way.
good. That's good. You've got the right person to host it. Yeah, that's the absolute right person.
Well,
hold on a second. We've got that movie has 2 actors who were in the Friday the 13th TV series. Now that it's ironic because I hate all those fucking movies, but I do. I despise them. But I own the television series on Blu-ray, on DVD.
Yeah, the TV series was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd like to get the series, but I'm sure it's very expensive. I'm sure it's very out of print.
I found cheap copies on Amazon. Wasn't a problem. I don't think it broke $30.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, I've got them, and I'm proud to own them. I grew up. I hated those movies growing up, but I enjoyed that TV series. It was on every Friday night.
Yeah,
it was that. It was that, and I think The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Oh yeah,
Campbell.
Yeah. So that was my Friday. This was Friday night before I was old enough to go out. So Friday night was about what was on television. And it was, I think, Briscoe County Jr. And then right after that, they went right into Friday the 13th.
13th, the series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With John LeMay, and Roby.
Yep. Yeah. Louise Roby, man. She was a hottie. Redheads.
Yeah.
All right. What's happening, Frank? What's happening? All right. So that brings us to John. Your number one guilty pleasure film. Lay it on us.
I'll just do one. I have to first say I actually love this movie, but there are a lot of plot holes and things that I have problems with. But still love this movie. But I gotta also say, I came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yes.
They Live.
Yeah.
Is my number one. I love this movie.
Yeah,
I
man.
really do.
Awesome. Yeah.
I was a fan of Roddy Piper and the whole WWE when they were the WWF.
Yep.
Vince McMahon didn't take steroids. I mean, I was a huge fan of this the whole time. I love the fact that they were trying to use like manipulation. I love the fact that it was a John Carpenter film.
Yeah.
God damn it, this movie has points in it that just suck. I'm sorry. In the middle of the film, let's have a wrestling match. Because
Which
we're
is
out of
really weird.
dialogue.
Because that's really weird, but it's like one of the greatest fight scenes
Yeah.
ever
Oh
filmed.
yeah.
It
yeah,
took like
definitely.
2 weeks to film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great fight. Like I'm like, but I remember watching it, and I was with Steve Sanino, and he turned around and went, "Done." He just got up and walked
That
out.
sounds exactly, yeah, Steve. That sounds exactly like Steve Sanino. Yeah.
You know, he was. I'm like, and I started laughing, but and there's just a lot of different, and I love Rowdy Piper.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he's very underrated as a performer. I think he did a long before The Rock.
Yep.
And Steve Austin and Stone Cold. They were offering him movies and he kept turning them down until he got good ones. And he considered one of this a good one, and it was for him.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's also plot holes and moments like this. Hi, you can take off your sunglasses now and put on contact lenses. We've worked them out. I'm like, no, you didn't. You didn't have enough sunglasses for the extras, so they're pretending to put in contact lenses. So don't lie to me, John Carpenter. I got this. But and I still love it. And I'm sorry, the ending of the movie where he blows up the satellite and everybody shows exactly what they look like.
And he flips
Yeah.
off the satellite. Yeah.
Oh my God, I lost it.
Yeah.
It was such a statement on society at the time.
Yep.
I'm actually shocked they haven't turned that into a Netflix series yet.
Hmm. I am too, actually.
Man,
Yeah.
there's some holes in this plot line. It was a thin line, and John Carpenter even said that. It was thin, but we were able to stretch it into a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
So, but to me, it's so bad, it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Bam.
For its time, Piper was exactly the right wrestler.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
there was no wrestler at the time, and I was a fanatical wrestling fan at that time. And we just had Jay on last week. We were talking about it. I've fallen off in the past 15 years or so.
Hmm.
But I mean, there was no one in the 80s, especially in mainstream wrestling, which was the WWF back then, in the time of WrestleMania and things like that, who had more attitude than Roddy
Right.
Piper.
Exactly.
Oh,
Nobody
He was one
had
of the best heels ever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he brought Mr. T
Yeah.
into
Yep.
into WrestleMania. He smashed a coconut over Jimmy Snuka's head.
Real coconut, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he did it all wearing a kilt.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was so fucking edgy.
Yeah.
You could
And
not-
He
you
wore-
couldn't-
he
no
wore
one
a
could
kilt
touch
with
him
a
on it.
leather jacket.
Yeah.
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 No one could touch him on the microphone. And
Yeah,
that's why he was perfect for They Live, because almost all of his dialogue was ad lib.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and he had that T-shirt that just said "Hot Rod"
Yep.
Yeah.
right there. I
Oh,
mean,
the Panther head. Yep.
he was way better than Hogan.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Hogan's every movie that Hogan has ever done has just been shit.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I'm trying. I mean, now we have The Rock, so that's a little different. But I mean, you're talking, 30 years before that.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There was only Roddy Piper.
For Hogan, he was doing movies to introduce other wrestlers coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hogan's
I mean-
biggest role was Thunderlips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That was his
Yeah.
best performance, as far as I'm concerned, in all of.
Right.
But wait a minute, forgetting his star turn and what was that? Thunder in Paradise.
Right.
Oh jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's Chris
he,
Lemon. Yeah.
That was uncalled for. All right. That was uncalled for.
No,
I think
you
there's
know,
your third
in
strike
some of
back.
these movies, you introduced the one guy who played Zeus on WWE, or
Yeah. Tiny
the
Lucifer.
guy who
Yeah.
eventually was the Undertaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were using him to introduce. Roddy Piper said, "No, I want to do a movie."
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Carpenter, to give credit where credit's due, saw the action star in him.
Well, Carpenter
Yeah.
was a
Saw
huge
that smart ass,
Carpenter was a huge wrestling fan, and he wanted Piper.
right?
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon Sr., I think, didn't want him to. No, Vince McMahon Sr. didn't want Hogan. Vince McMahon Jr. didn't want Piper to leave to do it. So that's why WrestleMania 3 was like the retirement match and stuff like that. That's why Piper didn't come back for probably like a decade or so because of his bad blood, because he left to go make movies.
Yeah, yeah.
He did some pretty decent movies. Not great, but you know.
He did a few Texas Rangers. That show was very
popular. Yeah,
they're very popular with wrestlers. They had a lot of wrestlers on.
I loved Piper on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He did like 2 or 3 episodes of that as a down on his luck wrestler living out of his car, and it's just he was just so hilarious and being so depressing, and it was just he was always fun.
I think it was. I think his timing was bad. He was about 20 years too soon.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you there?
And
if you had gotten to Piper, if you had gotten to Piper in 2006, and this guy had just premiered, he would be everywhere. He would have blown up. Right. He would have been huge and enormous. Yeah. But it was the 80s, and you're dealing with a lot of genre bias, which is a whole other conversation.
Right.
And he never got his due. No. But he had tons of charisma.
Yep.
He seemed to be able to read his lines. Obviously, he's capable of good action. Mm-hmm. He doesn't need much in the way of stuntman, I'm a stuntman, that kind of thing.
He had that rapid fire insult. Like when he's in a bank, look at the lady with the hot you, who's thrashing on your face. Blah, 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 blah. He's going right there.
That's like pouring perfume on a pig, and stuff like that.
I mean, he had that ability.
There's a
wrestlers couldn't do.
There's a famous segment where they had a bunch of wrestlers on Bill Maher's old show, Politically Incorrect.
Yep, I know you're talking about.
And Maher was just being an asshole. Like he was just entirely too. He couldn't deign to, try to get down to, their level or whatever.
Yeah, he's looking down on him is what it was.
Yeah, it was like Sting and like a couple other people.
Yeah,
and
Sting, Bobby Heenan, Medusa, and Piper was on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and fucking Piper just ripped into Bill Maher, just like improvised these fucking insults and just shut him up.
Yeah, because Bill was talking about how, it's air quotes fake, and Sting was like, well, no, it's predetermined. There's a difference. We're still getting slammed on the mat, and we're on the road 300 days of the year. We get hit with the chairs. We're this and that. And Bill was like, well, you don't ever see a bruise. So Piper stands up. He unbuckles his pants, pulls down his pants. He's standing there in his underwear, and he stands right next to Bill Maher, and he shows him this gigantic scar. He's like, that's from a fake hip because of wrestling. Is it fake now? Yeah. He showed him like he had bone spurs in his wrist. He says, my wrist has been broken for 6 months. Is it fake? Yeah. And Bill just sat there like an idiot. You know what I mean? He shut him up.
But then he's like, well, he made some comment, and he's like, well, at least I didn't have to drop my pants.
Yeah.
Bill Maher said to him, and Roddy looked at him. He goes, well, how did you get this job?
Yeah.
And the whole fucking place just went bananas and just fucking shut him. He goes, well, how'd you get this job?
That was Roddy, man.
Yeah. I mean, just totally improvised right there on the spot.
You don't understand when Hulk Hogan was allegedly in the steroid phase, in case you get sued.
Yeah.
Wink.
He was this monster, and there's Roddy Piper who wasn't.
Right.
But he had that mouth.
Yep.
What you going to do?
He was probably one of the only wrestlers next to Andre whose death really upset me.
Yeah, that one.
I liked, Roddy, he died too young, and so did Andre. But I mean, Andre, they both. I mean, Roddy had cancer, but it was just, I had no idea. And then like he died, I'm like, shit, man. He was, that one hit me hard because I always liked Roddy Piper. Mm-hmm. He was the best heel. I mean, he was a great arch enemy to Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And he was it.
And he was always a good anti-hero. If you were talking about that, little episode. Because I remember one time there was a guy that was picking on a kid in a wheelchair, and Roddy Piper in real life actually hit the wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no, we don't cross that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they were like, oh shit, he can be a hero.
Well, and one thing we don't want to forget, like why I think They Live is so good is Another one of my favorite actors, Keith David's in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Keith David's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it can do no
Yeah.
wrong, man. Keith
Yeah.
David can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can't sleep on Meg Foster, who had the prettiest eyes in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yep, absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Keith
That was in her heyday too, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
smoking hot back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was an original story.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, it was
You know,
really,
Carpenter's
yeah.
done a couple of remakes. He's done Village of the Damned. He's done The
Mhm.
Thing.
Yeah.
You know, and these other things. But this was
An original
this was
story.
this was something you hadn't heard of before.
And it
Really
tapped
cool.
into that early paranoia.
Yeah, about
people
government.
had.
Yeah.
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 That's why
Depending on where
they actually did that today with people's paranoia of, with cell phones and everything else now.
Oh yeah.
That series would fly.
it sounds like a Black Mirror. I've never seen Black Mirror, but it sounds like something you would see on Black Mirror.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Rest in peace, Roddy Piper. We miss
Yep.
you. All right. Here we go.
All right,
That
Mike.
brings me to the final number one, the 25th movie. Once again, I just want to say for people that are in the stream, these are all unsolicited picks. So we've had no overlap. So it's not like, I say, well, hey, somebody already picked that. You can't pick it. So somebody else pick something else. Everybody just sends me discreetly their own 5 picks. And we've just been really lucky in that people haven't all of these lists. Ryan said that I think there was one overlap in the sci-fi.
The fantasy one, yeah. Because John and I
Yeah.
both had Dark Crystal, but that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it.
But
Yeah.
past that, we've been good. So here we go. The number one movie. Hold on. We got a quick comment here. Let me just check and see what it says. Oh, it's just Patrick saying hi to everybody in the chat. Okay.
Hi, Patrick.
No, he's right there. Yeah.
I know.
Never mind.
I wanted to say hello.
Okay. Let's stop. All right. This was another actor that I was really, 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 really surprised no one picked one of his movies. But they didn't. And then it just hit me right there in the middle of the forehead. And I said, well, of course, I'm just going to go right to it. My number one movie is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando.
I was considering this. Yeah.
Commando,
That movie is badass. Yeah, man.
Commando
It
is
is
one of
so-
Arnold Schwarzenegger's best movies.
Mhm.
Oh
It
yeah.
is also one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's worst movies.
Worst movies.
Yep.
It comes right off of.
Right after Predator or right before Predator? One of the two.
No, it was before,
before
Predator.
Predator,
I think
I
it was right
It's after Terminator, right?
After Terminator. It was
Right,
the movie
yeah.
right after Terminator.
No.
And like
Right.
Stallone in Cobra, coming right off of this huge mega blockbuster worldwide, record-breaking thing like Stallone with Rambo. Arnold comes off with, the Terminator, and science fiction has been reinvented with this completely original story. And then he hits the airwaves with fucking Commando. And I own
Yeah.
I love how you say that.
with fucking Commando. I own Commando on Blu-ray. Don't
Yeah,
misunderstand me. That's why it's my number one.
It-
It's not a
are we
movie that I
are we
hate.
applauding? Are we applauding that, or are we feeling sorry for you for that?
I
Oh,
would
I'm
applaud.
applauding.
I would applaud.
I love this fucking
yeah.
movie.
We
I
should
know this
do-
movie so. This
we
movie
should
so
be
Slow
Velveeta.
applause for that.
we should do a top 5 like movies that we hate kind of thing, and that
Oh,
would be
I
fun.
love
And,
this
like,
movie.
I fucking hate this movie. Jesus Christ, it drives me
No,
crazy.
I love Commando. It's so much cheese.
What is
Oh,
not?
God, yeah.
I remember this was maybe 30 years ago. I was in a video store, and we're walking the aisles, and we were looking for something to watch, and I said, "Man, I wouldn't mind watching fucking Commando."
Mhm.
And this was in the days of VHS. And this guy from all the way, I'll never forget this guy all the way down the fucking aisle just turned around, like really turned and like sort of made a point of making eye contact, and he goes, "Fucking Commando, man, yeah," and then he just walked away.
That's awesome.
So, like, you know, bonding isn't as easy as, you know, as people, you know, say it is nowadays. All you really need is some fucking Commando, and you can talk about it. And Arnold is just the ultimate man, I guess you could say. I mean, that intro scene where he's carrying the fucking tree on his shoulder with that chainsaw, and he's jacked and in the wife beater, and he's
the close specifically on the bicep next to the log.
Yeah. He's moving in slow motion, carrying a whole fucking tree down that hill. And then he's chopping wood, and
everybody does.
And his back when he's chopping wood is like as wide as a fucking grizzly bear.
Yeah.
You know, and he's John Matrix.
That's a cool name, dude.
That's a manly name. You know
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
John Matrix.
He's the ex-special forces, you know, fucking ultimate guy. And people are killing his team. You know, you've got Bill Duke. The great fucking Bill Duke he's great in that.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's just fucking fantastic in that.
Vernon Wells.
Vernon, and this is where it starts to come up. Vernon Wells is the dumbest villain, Bennett, in the history of fucking history. Okay? He's just because you can't put Arnold up against Vernon Wells in like a fist fight. It makes no fucking sense.
No.
And like his guts hanging over, and like you see him running, and all the shit that's like attached to his fucking gear is like jiggling over his gut, you know. And
he's gained like 30 pounds since the Road Warrior, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's more like World Buffet, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Now, these are the days before, you know, like my understanding now is that like if you do a Marvel movie, like the MCU at Marvel Studios actually has like a gym from hell.
Oh, geez.
That they put you through.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're like Hugh Jackman, who just works out by default. You know, but like all these people who make Marvel movies, like that's I think that you're contracted to be in shape.
Yeah, like Hemsworth playing Thor, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth got jacked for those movies.
The only one who was never in shape in the Marvel movie was Mark Ruffalo.
Right, because it doesn't have to
Bruce Banner wasn't muscles, and everything else is CGI.
Even Chris Pratt got buff. You know, he was doughy when he was on Parks and Rec.
Robert Downey Jr. didn't really have to too much, but you know,
because he's always in.
That was the first movie, though.
Yeah,
right.
But he wasn't like super jacked as Iron Man, though.
No, because he didn't need to be.
He's always in suits.
It was the suit.
Yeah.
It was the suit that did the work.
He just had to look good in the regular suits too when he put on the suit and tie.
Yeah. His suit was Tom Ford.
Yeah,
that was the suit that he wore. But I mean, in Commando, you know, Alyssa Milano, you got a little Alyssa Milano as the daughter. They kidnap Alyssa Milano, and then it's just fucking on from there. You know, he pushes that fucking Suburban by hand down the fucking cliff and just spears fucking Bill Duke's fucking caravan. And Bill Duke is like, he's still coming at us, crazy bastard.
He doesn't have any brakes.
Remember, Alyssa Milano did an interview when she was older. I think it was when she was on Who's the Boss or whatever.
Okay.
And somebody had mentioned to her being in Commando. And she said, that's my meter. Because they had me tickle Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I was like tickling a brick wall. There was nothing there to tickle. And he said, don't worry, I'll laugh and everything else. So when people say, could you do this? And he goes, hey, I tickled Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can do this. You know, she was talking about it.
People forget.
It was like there wasn't any fat on him.
People forget what a beast Arnold Schwarzenegger was, man. And today's he's kind of forgotten about.
Right.
It's amazing in this generation. Like, you know, like if it hasn't happened before 2010, people don't know about it.
Right.
Here's something strange, though. If you think about this, check this out. So there's one thing that like Jackie Chan and Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger all have in common, and that is this: they all have become really good actors as they have gotten older.
Yeah.
Watch Arnold and Maggie.
Yes.
Watch Jackie Chan in The Foreigner.
Yes.
Watch John Van Damme in Swelter. You
Yeah.
never know them from any of their earlier roles. They are actors, and they've gotten really good at it. And I've actually enjoyed them as far as their performances. I've enjoyed the older roles more than the younger ones.
Right.
I mean, I appreciate that.
The same thing. I would argue you could put Keanu Reeves in that.
Yes, I definitely agree.
Keanu Reeves has matured, and he's found roles that work for Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, he takes roles now that fit within his range.
Yeah.
You know, now he didn't have to do that Matrix movie again, but that was just a bad story.
Right.
You know, it was just a bad story. That, you know, you can only do so much. But yeah, there are certain people that really have started out. Like if you look at Arnold in like Raw Deal, you know, where he's like, you shouldn't drink and bake.
I hate when you drink and bake. Yeah.
You know, and you know, to what he's doing now, he's really matured. But this is just a fucking full-on train wreck.
David Patrick Kelly.
Yeah, Daniel Patrick Kelly. I think Matrix. Mercedes, remember I said I was going to kill you last? Yeah, Matrix. I lied.
I gotta tell you, Sally, this is my weak arm.
Yep.
This is my weak arm. You know?
I just remember him with the big missile launcher on his shoulder.
Yeah. 4 fucking missiles. Yeah.
The best part is when Radon Chong has to break him out of the back of the police cruiser or whatever, with the rocket launcher.
Yeah.
She was a blast watching her interact with Arnold.
Chong.
That was her. I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was her really last major hurrah. I don't really remember seeing her in another big movie after that.
I think Soul Man pretty much kind of killed her career. Soul Man
she was in one or two independent films, you know, type deal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think she actually moved into like black cinema.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's very niche. There aren't too many of those films that get super huge because, you know, they tend to be concentrated on one topic, which is like, you know, black, you know, whatever. So, you know, it doesn't always expand everybody, but I think that's where a lot of her, you know, interests kind of went.
She's doing a lot of TV. I'm looking it up now. She's doing a lot of TV. But she's been in like a lot of these movies I'm looking at I've never heard of. She did a movie called Shiver in 2012, but then she did a movie in 2018 called Reborn. It's a horror film, but with with Barbara Crampton, Michael Pere, and Chaz Bono.
What is it?
Hey, a job's a job, man.
Attack of the B-listers, man.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's not even B, man. That's like the C fucking D-listers.
That's the low. That's the low.
We need a Mount Rescue. Go get Barbara Crampton.
Yeah.
Pretty soon Radon Chong will be attacked by killer trees, huh?
Yeah, this is like, somebody fucking save somebody tackle these people or something. Holy shit! But
Michael Pere, you know better.
Yeah, there is, you know, just ridiculous fight scenes. He gets into a fist fight with Bill Duke.
Oh God, that's the best part of the movie.
I love Bill Duke.
Yeah, listen to this. I can't believe you are doing this bullshit, you know, macho bullshit.
Yeah, she always says, "You scared, motherfucker? This Green Beret's gonna kick your ass." I eat Green Berets for breakfast. Right now, I'm very hungry.
Very hungry. And then he hits him with the very hungry, and then he punches him right after he says it. Oh man! I mean, you know, you loved it, but it's awful, and I love it. I own it on Blu-ray. You know, but it's awful. It's awful. It's awful.
I love when he finally gets to the compound. And it's Dan Hedaya who's got the worst South American accent ever on film. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh my
you
God.
remember me, Colonel?
Yeah.
I remember you, scumbag.
If you don't do what I say, I'll mail her to you in pieces. When he finally gets to the compound, is one man, And like we said, it's kind of like what I talked about with the Boz earlier. You know, we're focusing on the bicep. Arnold's in his Speedo in a rowboat just for the sake of showing off his fucking pectoral muscles.
Yep.
But he gets to the compound. It's one man. He kills probably like 50 people by himself.
No,
And what I
205.
love is when he's throwing grenades behind him and just running away, and these guys are blowing up and flying off the ground. You can see the catapults that they're on in the ground, just shooting them in the air. And the director didn't give a fuck because it looked good.
Because he knew no
We're
one
gonna
would
be
care.
rich. We're gonna be rich.
You know what? I counted them one time for fun. I said, how many people has he killed? He kills 205 people in that scene.
Jesus Christ!
And I wouldn't
See,
be
the
surprised. I wouldn't
the
be
other
surprised
thing
to
is-
go back and see a giant spring. Like you were shooting people over.
But
He
see,
didn't
this is
care. They're like, he's blowing shit up. Let's go.
See, I think we have an affinity for these movies because those movies were awesome back then. As bad as cheesy as they were, those were the real action movies. Like you can't get away with shit.
It's a lost era, you know, of the 80s. 80s action was its own
was
genre.
it, man. That was it. You can't get away with Commando now.
No,
I don't know about that. You got John Wick. I mean, he's right there.
Yeah, I guess he's the closest.
Well,
Yeah,
I love my John Wick movies, but there's a big difference between how John Wick kills somebody and how John Matrix kills somebody.
Exactly.
John
Now,
Wick is not wearing a bathing suit and rowing across the boat to show his pectoral.
John Wick isn't throwing saw blades at people and cutting off their scalps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or hacking off their arms
If
with
you wanted to
machetes.
do Commando- if you wanted to do Commando now, you would have to have a woman.
Yeah,
I thought
that's exactly what I was going to say. It would have to be Ray Don Chong teaching John Matrix how to be John Matrix. You know, she would kick his ass, shut him down.
Yeah.
You know, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, it's the Ray Don. She'd beat up 300-pound guys, and you're just like, okay.
In the end, the daughter would be the one that kills Vernon Wells.
Right.
Yeah.
Arnold
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger and Bray Larson. You know?
Yeah.
Brie
And
Larson.
Arnold would be
Larson.
telling, Arnold would be saying how awesome she was. You're awesome. Yeah, okay.
That costume was marvelous.
Yeah, that was marvelous.
Oh my God.
Oh,
All right.
What a
Meanwhile, we
perfect
just
movie.
lost all the women who watched the show.
Yeah, they're
No,
all gone.
the women who watch this show actually would agree. So
Probably,
that's quite all right. But you know,
Great choice, Mike.
these are
Very good one, Mike.
That
Arnold
defines the topic for sure.
Arnold was another one like Stallone. You never knew what you were going to get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Because
then
he
you know,
also gave us he also gave us crap like Junior. So you know.
Yeah.
well, Arnold was ahead of his time on that one.
Yeah.
The Twins actually worked.
Twins was
Twins
funny.
was-
Yeah.
Twins actually worked. Yeah.
I thought I was here where I was saying that they were supposed to make the sequel, and the twin sons were supposed to be Jason Momoa and Peter Dinklage.
Well,
Jeez.
they were going to do
Funny.
they were going to do an actual sequel with Eddie Murphy
Yeah.
as the triplet, and then he dropped out, and Tracy Morgan signed on. But I don't think they're going to do it now that Ivan Reitman passed away, because that was the reason why Arnold and DeVito were going to do it, was if Ivan Reitman directed it. So I think they dropped it.
That's like when Eddie Murphy was on Saturday Night Live and he said he was the fifth Beatle, Clarence,
Mhm.
saxophone player,
That's
and
funny.
he's got that fucking Beatles hairdo from the '60s, you know. And he's Clarence, the fucking. Hold on a second. We got a couple of comments here. The Monkey. I missed it all, but all the ones you're saying are getting sequels because all new original films are shit. Well, a lot of them couldn't be better. Yeah, it's few and far between. Junior was the first Karen film. Don't you agree? I never actually saw Junior.
I don't want to.
I
It's
didn't. I
awful.
had no interest in that. And now, now it's on the cover of Calvin Klein. So, it's,
That's funny.
it's fucking true, man.
Again, he was ahead of his time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Arnold, the movie that Arnold did that I want to see and I've never seen it, The Sixth Day. The one
That's a
about
fun one.
That's a good
The one
one.
about cloning.
Yes, that's a fun
yeah,
one.
I
I
haven't
did
seen
see
that
that
one.
one.
Robert Duvall.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I've always
you guys
wanted to
saw
see that.
one.
Yeah, that's a good
Eric-
one.
Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, I think he's in
Oh,
it
so
too.
maybe
yeah.
I did see it. I just don't remember it.
And Eric's
You know,
been
his
bugging
other
me.
one. His other one that he did in the last 10 years, Escape Plan, was actually pretty
Mhm.
That's a
decent.
good movie.
I like
That's
that
really
one a
good
lot.
movie. Yeah.
Because they were playing
all the
guys
ones
their
after that,
age.
though, Blue Chow. All
Yeah.
the escape plans after that was Stallone. They all sucked.
Yeah. No, but that Escape Plan, they were playing guys their age, you
Mhm.
know, and there were limitations on what they could do. I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty neat.
Mhm.
And
There's
Well,
always a problem when it comes to guys in action films, not
Yeah.
for the guys doing the action playing their age, but with the audience accept it.
Yeah.
You know,
So far,
'cause you want-
I have to say yes. Every movie that those guys have done, older wise, like Arnold got some of the best reviews his whole career for Maggie.
right, but
And that's true.
those movies at the same time are smaller,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's the loyal Arnold fan base that are going to see it.
Right.
If you go up to people nowadays, you go up to a 25-year-old, they have no idea who Arnold Schwarzenegger is.
No.
No, they know
It's
Patrick
funny,
Patrick.
Mike, because Mike, when you said, when you first said Arnold, I didn't think you were going to do Commando. I thought you were going to put The Last Action Hero up there.
Yeah.
No, because I don't like that movie.
No.
I don't like that, dude. Fuck, that kid's
No.
fucking annoying.
Yeah.
So how do you
Oh,
really feel, Mike?
Yeah, he's fucking little bastard.
Not the most annoying kid we've seen, but I'll leave that there.
He's in there. He's up there. All right, so the monkey says the only thing Arnold did worse was picking his housekeeper. So, okay. So Bill Burr did a thing about that where Arnold was in the zone for fucking 4 decades. Going from this guy who just shows up,
Mhm.
and all he's got are muscles. And he says, I want to be Mr. Olympia. And so he becomes like 7-time Mr. Olympia. Then I want to be an actor. So he becomes like the biggest star in Hollywood at the time, maybe one of the all-time biggest at that time. Then he transitions to become he marries a Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of,
he
of all
marries
the
into,
families
one
to
of the-
marry into.
Yeah.
like one of the biggest fucking money families in America.
Yep.
Becomes a
Then-
governor.
Yeah, he becomes a 2-term governor of California. I was living with Rod in LA at the time that recall was happening. And it was supposed to be this fucking Republican guy named Darrell Issa who was trying to run Gray Davis off the ticket. He was leading the recall, and he thought that he was going to be governor. And Arnold just waited until he got recalled and then just stepped in and went bink. And Darrell Issa, you still have not, I don't think he's still landed yet.
Yeah.
There's
Go ahead, Jim.
There was a comedian who said at that time about you got to admire Schwarzenegger. He became governor of a state that he could never pronounce.
California.
And I started laughing because I'm like, and it's true. He became governor of California. But
I mean, the guy was living
in that, man.
The guy was living in such a fucking zone that he actually thought it was okay to bang his housekeeper in the house where he was living with his fucking wife.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And get her pregnant.
Yeah, and get her I mean, he has a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks just like
he's got
her.
a love child.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's an actor too. And
Yeah.
he's Patrick Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, Patrick Schwarzenegger now. He's in the new Amazon series with Chris Pratt.
Who did
And
he?
Chris-
It's a
Who did
military
he marry?
series.
He just married somebody.
And Chris Pratt is Arnold's son-in-law.
Yeah,
He married his daughter, Catherine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
yeah. So the only thing I would say, and they'll never do it because, I mean, unless it comes to some hardcore streaming service, is if he actually got a decent script for the next Conan movie.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that'll
the
happen.
I
King-
thought
the
they were
King
supposed
Conan.
to do one.
You could, but it's a movie like today.
King
You can
Conan
never
or
do.
something.
You can never do a Conan movie today.
No,
It
I
would
thought
have
he
to
was
be on-
supposed to do King Conan or
I thought
something.
they did the Northman. Wasn't the Northman like Conan?
A lot like it. A
Yeah.
lot like
But I mean, I
it.
thought he was supposed to do King Conan.
Right, but it would never go through today.
Yeah, he's been wanting to
Oh,
do
no,
that for
no,
20
yeah,
years, dude.
You won't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, with women and nude, bare-chested women, and all these different things. Every fucking all the Rachel Maddows out there would be like fucking pulling the remaining hair they had out.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, you couldn't do that with today. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of elements you couldn't use today.
No. Then it wouldn't be a Conan movie.
No.
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't be a Conan movie.
He would be a swashbuckling pirate.
It would be a Jason Momoa fucking
Yeah,
movie.
And I had nothing against that per se, but that's not a Conan movie.
Yeah, that's not the standard that was
I didn't
set.
see that one.
You would probably like it.
I liked it.
It's lighthearted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's lighthearted. So, all right. So, I think that is as good a play. It's kind of late. We've been going at it for 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Not bad.
This is as good a place as any to bring it to a close. My thanks to. Oh wait, before we real quick, does anybody want to? Patrick, do you want to plug anything? Plug something.
I'm plugging.
60 seconds.
Okay. Tomorrow night, I'm interviewing former Rolling Stone music writer, senior editor Michael Goldberg, who wrote a book about a guitarist of the first American punk band, the finest American punk band, the Avengers, James Jason Wilsey, and that'll be tomorrow at 8:00.
Okay. Ryan, you got anything?
Nope.
Huh?
Eric.
I guess the only thing I have on the horizon for my YouTube channel, Hey Internet Eric here, is I will be.
Girl with the dragon tattoo.
Well, you told me I can't watch that with my kid around, so I need to.
That's true.
That's got to be a late night
Absolutely
viewing.
cannot. You cannot.
But I'm going to be still discussing vampire movies on my channel. I'll be doing the From Dusk Till Dawn trilogy and Interview with a Vampire, which I probably haven't seen in 10 years, but I'm sure it still holds up.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a great one. John, you got anything?
Don't do
I got
Robin
some
First
stuff
Plate.
coming up, but it's not on. It's not really worth talking about. It's more medical issues I'm going to be dealing with. This is why you haven't seen me, and probably will not be seeing me for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
But
John
3 weeks
Alvarez.
from tonight, I get the first surgery done.
Okay. All right,
So-
John Alvarez, the Reanimator.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Terminator 18.
The $2 million man. All right. So,
Hey, you're 2 cents worth.
hey, man, $2 million is a lot of money to me. So,
That's right. It's
I'll
all about
take it.
me.
all
$2
right.
million, you can buy a tank of gas with that.
That's exactly
That's
right.
right.
It's a quarter tank.
That's
Oh,
correct.
God.
All right. So, for me, tomorrow, I have an interview with director Toshi Asaka, who is a Japanese film director over there in Japan, and he is making a shitload of samurai epics. And he was kind enough to agree to an interview tomorrow, and he actually wanted to do it this week. So I'm putting it in at the last second. That'll be me tomorrow. On Wednesday, I'll be with Bill and the rest of the gang, considering the Monsterverse, or continuing the Monsterverse with the Japanese 2016 Shin Godzilla, which I actually had the privilege of seeing when I was in Japan. To see a Godzilla movie in Japan is one of the coolest things ever. And then on Thursday, I've got 4 fucking streams this week.
Good Lord.
I'm going to be with Ben from Cadaver Club in his first appearance on the show here. And we're going to be going at it with Bone fucking Tomahawk, which is a serious hardcore Western movie. Ryan, if you want to join us on that, where you're more than welcome.
I'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, let me know. But yeah, it's going to be a whole fucking week of streams. So I'm looking forward to it. My thanks to everybody here on this show. I know if people have to split off, once I hit the outro, go right ahead. I'll be here if anybody wants to chat for a minute. My thanks to you all. And I'll be back tomorrow, 8 o'clock, and every day for the rest of the week, 8 o'clock. Take care, everybody.
All right.
Cheers.
Peace.